Seraphina and I just hit the ultimate respawn button together. So, smash that like. In our past life, she was the university's legendary, ultra frosty ice queen. For 4 whole years of college, I never even spared her a single glance. Talk about a massive plot twist. Right after graduation, our parents arranged for her to become my wife. On our wedding day, I laid down 3 ironclad ground rules. We only needed to put on an Oscar-worthy acting performance whenever our parents were around. And for the rest of our lives, we would completely mind our own business. I felt absolutely zero connection to her and never bothered with her friends. Seraphina, in return, never poked her nose into my personal affairs either. No matter how late I stumbled home, even if I stayed out all night doing who knows what, she never seemed to care, and never asked anything. I honestly thought she was just like me, marrying for duty under parental pressure until the day I suddenly dropped dead from a completely unexpected, acute illness. Seraphina rushed to the hospital like a woman possessed. She collapsed right at the doctor's feet, desperately begging him, sobbing that she was begging him to do something. Please save my husband. If you can only bring him back, please, take my life instead. She didn't care at all. You can only imagine my shock, standing there in my brand new ghost form, watching this devastating scene unfold. More than once, I desperately tried to wrap my arms around her, but every single time, my hands just slipped right through her physical body. I kept trying to comfort her, but she couldn't hear a single syllable I said. She just kept crying and pleading with the medical staff until her emotions went into absolute overdrive, and she passed out cold. At my funeral, Seraphina held my black and white portrait, weeping a literal river of tears for me. She stared at my photo with pure agony written all over her face, gently tracing her fingers over the picture, tracing my face inch by inch with profound heartache. Then, she slowly reached out and picked up a bottle of sleeping pills. She just wanted to end the excruciating pain of her silent longing. But Bria snatched the bottle away with lightning speed. She yelled out, "Seraphina, it has been 4 years. He's already gone." At those words, Seraphina's face instantly turned as pale as a sheet. Her breathing even hitched for a fraction of a second. Yeah, he was already dead. Gone for 4 long years. Her voice carried a faint, completely broken tremble. Her face was a pure portrait of grief. Standing there in my ghostly state, I absorbed every painful detail. Bria wrapped her in a tight, comforting embrace, patting her back. She whispered that tomorrow was my death anniversary. She told her she needed to find final closure and say goodbye to the past. Slowly, Seraphina nodded. 5. It was indeed time for closure. She had suffered in deep depression for me for 4 whole years. That evening, she prepared an absolutely massive table of food, a grand feast. She gently picked up a piece of sweet and sour chicken, placed it in the empty bowl on my side of the table, and habitually started talking to herself. Kaelen, these are all your absolute favorites. You never knew, but before we married, I couldn't even boil a simple egg. I worked tirelessly, learning from a professional master chef just to please you. Seraphina held out her hands, looking at the old knife scars. Pursing her lips with a deeply pained expression, she murmured that she was just too clumsy, and that she sliced her fingers open countless times. But seeing you eat my food with pure joy, taking those massive, happy bites, she whispered that it made every single scar totally worth it. Guys, think about this. I only found out after kicking the bucket that she cooked all of this herself. I still remember my very first bite. It was so exceptionally delicious that I genuinely assumed she had hired some elite, Michelin star private chef. And it wasn't just the cooking. Whenever I came home drunk, she quietly took care of me. Every single shirt I wore was hand-ironed by her. She would even give me soft, secret kisses while I was fast asleep, silently protecting and loving me this entire time. And me? I was completely, utterly blind to all of it, constantly treating her like she was invisible. Gently placing a piece of spicy fish in my bowl, she quietly said that this would be the absolute last time she ever cooked for me. Tomorrow, after visiting my grave, she would erase every single memory of me from her mind forever. It was for the best. I let out a heavy sigh. Even in her early 30s, she still carried this mesmerizing, elegant charm. She was mature, stunningly beautiful, and there was absolutely no reason to waste her life mourning a dead guy like me. She deserved a fresh, happy start. The very next morning, she put on a gorgeous white wedding dress and headed to the cemetery. She stopped right in front of my tombstone. She looked jaw-droppingly beautiful today, her dark hair falling in soft, perfect waves. Her flawless makeup stood out beautifully against that pristine white wedding dress. Honestly, her beauty was so breathtaking, it didn't even seem like it belonged on this earth. It honestly felt like a beautiful fairy had descended from the heavens. I always knew Seraphina was quite pretty, but I never really bothered paying attention to her. Even on our wedding day, my mind was only focused on rushing through the boring ceremony. I barely even glanced her way. Seraphina just stood there, smiling gently at my cold tombstone. She was absolutely stunning. My ghostly eyes stared at her, unable to look away for a single second. "Look how silly I am," she mutters. "You never cared whether I looked beautiful or not." Her words were dripping with deep, painful bitterness as she placed white chrysanthemums in front of my grave. She stared at my name, Kaelen, carved deep in stone. Memories flooded back. Pain pierced her heart as she whispered, "Kaelen, do you miss me?" I desperately yelled back that I missed her and begged for forgiveness, reaching out to touch her hair. Even though she could never feel my touch, I kept trying anyway. "You probably don't miss me at all," she sighs. "Why would you ever miss me?" A bitter smile crosses her face. "But I still miss you," she says. Her tears began falling like shattered pearls, dropping one after another. "It's so strange," she continues softly. "Even though you're gone, I feel like you're right by my side. I almost feel like you're stroking my hair this very moment." Hearing her words, my spectral hand froze right in midair, my entire soul filling with absolute regret. "Kaelen, honestly, I wanted to end it all back then, but I couldn't do that to my mom. If it weren't for her, I wouldn't have kept pushing through this painful silence. I'm moving away in a few days, leaving this painful city far, far behind, and I'm never coming back. So, before I go, I wanted to let you get one last look at me in my wedding dress. Just for you. I will never wear a wedding dress for anyone else ever again." Saying that, she waved a sad goodbye to my tombstone. "Kaelen, I'm going now. Goodbye." She slowly pulled her gaze away, lingering for a long moment, before finally turning around. I stood by my grave, unable to follow, just watching her walk away into the distance. She slowly made her way over to the busy highway. Suddenly, she realized she was still wearing our wedding ring. She wanted to leave it behind with me to finally let go of all the pain. As she started pulling it off, the ring slipped right through her fingers, hit the asphalt, and bounced straight toward the center of the speeding traffic. "My ring?" she panicked, immediately running after it. I was the one who slipped that ring onto her finger on our wedding day. She had never taken it off, not even once. But right then, and then, out of absolutely nowhere, a massive dump truck comes barreling down. "Oh no, you already know what is coming next. Seraphina, get out of the way!" I screamed, desperately floating forward. But it was too late. The heavy truck slammed right into her. I watched in absolute horror as her body was thrown, flying through the air like a fragile, broken leaf before crashing violently onto the hard road. I screamed in pure agony, staring down at my beautiful wife lying in a pool of blood. The bright crimson blood began staining her pure white wedding dress like dark, blooming flowers. Seraphina's face turned completely pale. With the very last of her strength, she weakly turned her head back toward my grave. A faint, heartbreaking smile appeared on her lips as tears slowly rolled down into her hair. One drop after another. "This is fine," she thinks. "No, it is not fine. Hold on. Please. Seraphina, help is coming. Stay with me. You are not allowed to die." I desperately tried to scoop her up in my ghostly arms, but my hands just kept passing right through her. That utter powerlessness made me absolutely despise myself. "Kaelen, the single biggest regret of my entire life was ever meeting you," she whispers in pain. As her tears flowed endlessly, her voice cracked. "If I could do it all over again, I would never love you." The moment those words left her, her fragile life force completely drained away. She closed her eyes forever, leaving me screaming hysterically in pure agony beside her lifeless body. If I could somehow turn back time, I swear to God I would do everything to protect you and make things right. I would never let you suffer or shed another tear. But as those desperate thoughts filled my mind, a violent pain suddenly struck my head. It felt like my skull was splitting wide open, about to burst into a million pieces. Everything suddenly went pitch black as I collapsed onto the cold ground right beside her. Everything faded away into complete darkness. But when my eyes snapped open, I realized the absolute impossible. Look at this phone screen. It is July 12th, 2021. I was actually back in my old college days. But I had absolutely no idea my wife, Seraphina, had miraculously respawned, too. Right then, I was just resting pretty comfortably in the school infirmary. The school was running a basketball tournament, and I happened to stroll right past the court. Out of nowhere, a stray basketball totally sniped me right in the back of the head. And at this very moment, Seraphina was actually my college classmate, and the guy who rocketed that ball into my skull belonged to her specific class, which meant Seraphina, acting as their class president, would be coming to check on me on behalf of everyone. Thinking of this, I squeezed my eyes shut, eagerly waiting for her arrival. Suddenly, the sound of soft footsteps echoed from outside, slowly drawing closer until they finally stopped right by my bed. A faint, sweet medicinal fragrance hit my nose. I was already super familiar with this exact scent. It was that unique, comforting scent belonging only to Seraphina, instantly filling me with an incredible wave of nostalgia. I couldn't help but take a deep breath to inhale more of it. "Hey, classmate," a soft voice, beautiful as a songbird, suddenly chimed out. She was actually standing right there, leaning down and looking at me on the bed with those soft, incredibly mesmerizing eyes. Her thick, delicate eyelashes fluttered almost like butterfly wings. Without thinking, I reached out and tightly grabbed her hand. In my past life, I never even realized how deeply she actually cared for me. During those 4 long years after I died, I wanted nothing more than to hold her hand every second and pull her into my arms. Yet every single time, I just phased right through her body. That crushing sense of absolute powerlessness, I had felt it more times than I could count. But now, I could actually hold her. Her hand felt incredibly warm, soft, and so wonderfully real. Seraphina just stared blankly at me as I held onto her. The tips of her ears flushed a bright red, and she nervously pursed her lips. After a few seconds of visible panic, she tried to pull her hand away. The result? She failed completely. If she wasn't going to say anything, then I was perfectly fine keeping my eyes closed and playing dead. Right then, Seraphina's bestie, Bria, barged in. Talk about terrible timing. "You, pervert, let go of Seraphina," she screamed, aggressively peeling my fingers off. "Bria, go easy on him, he's still hurt, you're going to injure him more," Seraphina pleaded. Hearing her defend me like that made my heart completely melt into a warm puddle of absolute gratitude. Man, having a caring wife is seriously the best. "Seraphina, did you get hit by that basketball too? Is your brain broken? He's literally groping you and you're actually worried about him?" Bria stared at her with a look of pure, mind-blown disbelief. A faint, pretty bitter smile appeared on Seraphina's face. She had already made a very firm decision. If things really got reset, she absolutely never wanted anything to do with me ever again. The sweet Seraphina who used to love me so deeply had already died right at my grave. "Hey, I know you're awake. Why on earth are you still holding onto her hand? Let go of her right now," Bria barked, standing there with her hands on her hips. No way could I let go. That ball nearly sent me back to the afterlife, so she definitely needs to take some responsibility for me. And I didn't just refuse to let go. I actually gave it a sharp yank, sending her stumbling forward until she fell right on top of me, her face planting squarely onto my legs. Even with a thick blanket between us, the sudden contact made her ears flush a bright cherry red instantly. Honestly, my own face was burning up, pretty much turning purple. And yeah, I definitely pulled her on purpose, but she crashed right into a very sensitive spot. The sudden impact literally made cold sweat bead on my forehead, and her pupils dilated in shock. She quickly yanked her hands back like she had been electrocuted. Clutching her clothes tightly, her eyes darted all over the room while her heart pounded completely out of control. Seraphina quickly cleared her throat, calmed her racing thoughts, and spoke up, claiming she was the class president of Fine Arts Class 9. Apparently, her class was playing a basketball match against Class 8. One of her classmates accidentally sent the ball out of bounds, hitting me, so she wanted to represent them to say she was very sorry. "If you're really sorry, you should at least buy me dinner, right?" I couldn't wait any longer. I had to upgrade our relationship right now. Even though we were college classmates, we had never actually spoken a single word to each other. So I had to find any valid excuse to spend time with her. But check this out, she was staring at me with a super suspicious look. Something about this plot felt totally off. Seraphina remembered it very clearly. In our past life, when she visited, I had completely ignored her, even though she was the queen of Zhongchong University. With an endless line of guys chasing her, my complete lack of interest was exactly what piqued her curiosity back then. In her past life, Seraphina had sworn to never have even a tiny connection with me ever again. She refused to suffer through that painful trauma all over again. She quietly tells me, "Kaelen, it's totally fine. Since I'm not used to dining with girls either, let's just practice together to get comfortable. Neither of us can stay single forever." My mind was completely made up. I had to lock down this perfect opportunity and officially make Seraphina my girlfriend as soon as possible. Her head was absolutely pounding. What on earth was wrong with Kaelen today? Why was he acting like a clingy koala, desperately trying to reject me? She says my mom is incredibly strict with me. If she catches me dining with a guy, she'll completely freak out. So I quickly reply, "Then let's just eat at your place." With zero other options left, Seraphina finally gives in and reluctantly agrees to have a lunch meal with me. It was just a single lunch, after all. It's not like I was going to pull anything funny. Once this food was gone, she planned to run far away. As she sits in silence, I start scheming my next move. But then, a strange detail hits me. Just a second ago, she actually called me by my name. How did she even know who I was? Sure, everyone knew her. She was the legendary goddess of our university campus. Every single guy at school knew the beautiful campus queen's name. Even in my previous life, when I never paid attention to rumor mills, I still knew her face. But back then, I was just some totally ordinary student from the business department. So how on earth did Seraphina know my name? Is it possible she already has a tiny crush on me? The mere thought makes me rub my hands in excitement. During our lunch date tomorrow, I will definitely have to find a sneaky way to test the waters. But the next day at noon, things get pretty messy. Instead of my beautiful girl showing up, I'm greeted by her most toxic suitor, Caldwell. This guy was her neighbor and classmate since childhood, and he had been relentlessly chasing her for as long as anyone could remember. Years later, on the exact day Seraphina and I tied the knot, he actually crashed our wedding and threw a massive tantrum. Even after we wed, he kept lurking around our neighborhood. And when I died, he repeatedly proposed to my grieving widow, claiming he just wanted to take care of her. Too bad he had to wait for my funeral, and even then, she totally rejected him. Hey Caldwell, that's the business department kid from class 6 named Kaelen. I already tracked down all his info for you. Barnaby points directly at me, and Caldwell rolls up his sleeves like he's some kind of hero about to save the day. Stomping right up to me, he barks, "So you are Kaelen. Stay away from my Seraphina." I mockingly echo, "Your Seraphina? Is she your sister or something?" He snaps, "Hey punk, are you looking for a beating?" My attitude triggers Caldwell instantly. He pulls back his arm and swings a wild punch right at my handsome face. Just as I prepare to dodge and counter, I spot Seraphina walking down the stairs. I immediately drop my hands. Time for a classic trick to win her sympathy. I will just let this idiot hit me once. When she sees me bleed, her heart will definitely break. She might even carry me to the nurse's office and pamper me with sweet questions. That way, our relationship levels up in record time. That was my grand plan. But watch what happens next. Right as his fist is inches from my nose, his foot hilariously slips, and he completely loses his balance. With a massive thud, he faceplants hard, ending up kneeling right at my feet. Right then, Seraphina walks over, completely baffled. She looks down at him and asks Caldwell, "Why are you kneeling on the floor? Did you do something terrible to him?" Caldwell wants to cry. He desperately wishes the ground would just swallow him whole. Let's just ignore this clown. Let's go grab lunch, I say, reaching out, and very naturally taking her backpack to swing over my shoulder, even as she protests that she can carry it herself. Seraphina stares at the cute pink bunny keychain. Having a fluffy toy dangling off a tall, muscular guy looks totally ridiculous. But she keeps quiet. But the moment her fingers touch my arm, she suddenly freezes up. It feels incredibly solid. In her previous life, she had touched this strong arm so many times before. Back then, she was always hauling my drunk self home, patiently changing me out of my smelly, alcohol-soaked clothes. She didn't just touch me back then, she even secretly kissed me while I was sleeping like a baby. Though those were just sweet pecks on my cheek. As for my lips, she wanted to, but she was always far too shy. "Why is your face so red?" I ask, pressing my hand to Seraphina's forehead. Oh yeah, she is completely done for. The absolute second she snaps back to reality. It is not just her cheeks, her ears and neck turn completely crimson. She hastily retreats 2 steps to keep a safe distance, stammering that the hot sun is just too strong today. "So hot," Seraphina stutters as her tiny heart beats at double speed. "What on earth am I doing?" she wonders. Yesterday he was sending goodnight texts and handsome selfies. Now, he is acting so incredibly close and intimate with her. This was absolutely not the Kaelen from her past life. Yeah, the sun is pretty strong. I look up at the sky and smile. "Come on, let's go. I'm taking you to a restaurant. The vibe is pretty nice, and the food is clean and delicious. You'll love the dishes there, I promise." I step to the sunny side, using my 183-centimeter frame to shade her. At first, Seraphina doesn't notice it. Soon, she realizes she's walking completely inside my shadow. She thinks it's just a coincidence at first, but when she speeds up, I match her pace. When she slows down, I intentionally slow down too, doing everything I can to keep her shaded. Why is he doing this? She is completely baffled. She sneakily steals a glance at me, seeing a tall youth standing in the sunlight, radiating a deep sense of safety. "We're here. It's this place." I stop, turn around, and see Seraphina's face is glowing even redder now. Sure, the sun is blazing, but it definitely shouldn't be this hot right now. Seraphina stares at the restaurant, looking a bit dazed. She used to come to this exact spot all the time. She absolutely loved the food here. How did he know? There's no way he knew beforehand, right? That's impossible. It has to be a coincidence. "Stop standing out here in the heat," I say. "Let's head inside." I naturally grab Seraphina's hand, lead her inside, and find a quiet corner to sit down, before handing her the menu. Order whatever you want, it's my treat. But Seraphina just slides the menu right back to me. Fine then. I'll order the pickled fish. This is where it gets crazy. Seraphina freezes because I actually hate pickled fish, yet it's her absolute favorite dish in the world. Lotus root, I call out next. Seraphina blinks in shock. How does he know the dishes I love? There is no way this is a coincidence. Seriously. Wait. This is another favorite of hers. Sweet potato balls, pan-roasted duck, vegetarian ham, and can we get a crucian carp soup too? I ask. I rattle them off without even breathing. At this point, Seraphina is totally speechless. These are literally all her absolute favorites. How on earth did I know? After staring blankly for a few minutes, she can't hold back and asks how I knew her exact favorites. But how could I not know? After I died in our past life, some weird magnetic pull forced me to stay by Seraphina's side as a ghost. Wherever she went, I followed, completely inseparable. All those things I never noticed while I was alive? After being stuck to her 24/7, watching her eat, live, and travel, it'd actually be harder not to know. Of course, she'd never believe the truth about my reincarnation, so I just shrug and say, blind guess. Hearing that, Seraphina's face says it all. She does not believe me. One dish is a coincidence, but guessing an entire menu of her exact favorites, that is literally mathematically impossible. If he won't tell the truth, fine. Seraphina pulls out her phone to distract herself. I lean in close, right in front of her face, whispering that I'm not lying. My luck has just been off the charts lately. If you don't believe me, I'll prove it with a test later. Seraphina looks up, asking what kind of test. You'll see in a bit, I say, acting mysterious. Before long, our table is packed with steaming hot food. Here, try some fish. I place a piece right into her bowl with my chopsticks, leaving Seraphina completely stunned. In her past life, we were married for years, and I had never served her food even once. She used to dream that one day I would finally notice how good she was, and treat her like a real, loving husband should. But I never did. Not until the day I died. Thinking back to those bitter memories, Seraphina's emotions start to slip, the corners of her eyes turning red as she asks, "What's wrong with you?" Seeing her distress, I ask if she's okay. She quickly looks away, muttering, "Nothing, just got sand in my eye." Seraphina tried desperately to quiet her racing heart while I leaned in, offering to blow the sand right out of her eye. So I stood straight up, leaned my body right over, and closed the gap. Realizing I was actually going to do it, her face flushed a deep crimson as she tried to pull away, but I firmly told her not to move. That slightly bossy tone of mine made her little heart do some absolute backflips. I even went ahead and pinched her chin, tilting her face upward to get a better angle. With every soft breath I blew, those butterfly-like eyelashes of hers fluttered and twitched. Just looking at her completely stole my heart. Meanwhile, Seraphina's mind was going totally haywire. Her entire face blushing so hard she looked like a completely ripe autumn persimmon. She was incredibly cute. Staring right at her, I figured she had an 80% crush on me. She is just too shy to say it out loud. But honestly, that is a move the guy should make. I need the right moment. Right then, she swatted my hand away, insisting she was fine. Her heart was pounding like crazy, feeling like it might literally jump out of her throat. Honestly, her mind was a complete and chaotic mess. My behavior over the last couple of days was becoming totally impossible for her to decipher. This definitely did not happen in our past life. Once we finished eating, she just wanted to run back to school before things got any more complicated. She was terrified of getting her hopes up again, dreaming that maybe I actually had feelings for her. In her previous life, she stuck by my side constantly, secretly wishing that I would one day magically fall for her. But that ended up being a total pipe dream. Luckily, she got a second chance and managed to respawn. She absolutely refused to let history repeat itself, so she had to keep her distance. Can you really blame her? She stammered that she had sketching class this afternoon and needed to prepare early, but she barely took a single step before I reached out and grabbed her hand, with absolutely zero intention of letting go. Did she forget what I said at lunch? I told her my luck has been crazy good lately. Since she did not believe me, we obviously had to test it, and a few minutes later, I brought her right in front of a Chao Tai Fook jewelry store. Seraphina was completely confused, asking why we were there. I just told her to look. I pointed at the promotional banner by the entrance advertising, a lucky draw where the grand prize was completely free. She insisted that winning was completely impossible, pointing out the massive box and how everyone only gets one single draw. Plus, massive grand prizes like this are usually just secretly pocketed by their own internal staff anyway. Since she thought it was completely impossible, I asked if she really believed I could not win. So I proposed a bet, saying that if I win, she has to give me a kiss. Seraphina froze in absolute disbelief, wondering if I was joking because there was no way I actually wanted her to kiss me. She figured I was just teasing, and a wave of silent bitterness washed right over her eyes. When she asked what happens if I lose, I stared at her pretty red lips and promised I would just kiss her instead. Honestly, her lips were exceptionally gorgeous. Even without a smile, they looked so incredibly sweet and kissable. Naturally, she just rolled her eyes at me again. She told me to stop talking nonsense and just draw already, but I teased if she was just eager to kiss me. I promised to satisfy her wish, rolling up my sleeves and reaching into the box to draw a ticket. Seraphina glanced at her phone, realizing there was barely half an hour left, and she really could not waste any time. Just then, I shoved the drawn paper slip right in front of her face and told her to open it up. With a completely blank expression, she shook her head and quickly began unfolding the paper. She was literally about to say that I told her so, with the words sitting right on the tip of her tongue. But look at this, the paper clearly read grand prize, and her eyes instantly widened into giant circles of shock. She simply could not believe her eyes because I had actually won the whole thing. Seeing her completely stunned expression, I could not help but reach over and gently ruffle her hair. See, I told you my luck was absolutely on fire lately. She was so deeply shocked she did not even register that I was patting her head, so I told her to stop zoning out. I ushered her over to the prize counter, telling her to hurry up and pick something before class started. With only a dozen specific prize models on display, the options are pretty limited. Who are you picking this for? Seraphina asks, but before I even answer she blurts out, is it for your aunt? No, it is for my wife. I look directly at Seraphina as her eyes instantly go wide with shock. What on earth did I mean by that? Just kidding, I am picking it for you. I tell her, realizing her flustered little expressions are actually way too cute to handle. The more I look, the more I like her. She stammers, no way, I don't want it, we are not even that close. Seraphina's heart is doing absolute somersaults. My words were honestly way too easy to take the wrong way, right? First he says it is for his wife, and then he says he is picking it specifically for her. If she does the math, doesn't that mean his wife is her? Sure, she was my wife in our past life, but not yet. But check this out, right as Seraphina's mind is a total chaotic mess, I ask the clerk to grab a ring. I want this one. She stares at the ring, completely baffled by why I chose it. Did I already have another girl in mind? Is that why I ignored her in our past life? A sharp pain stabs her chest. She finally gets it now. No wonder he ignored her before. Turns out he always had a secret love locked away in his heart that he never shared with anyone. This is too much. Kaelen is being way meaner than he ever was in their past life. He actually dragged her along just to pick a ring for another girl. Her eyes grow pretty damp and her chest tightens so hard she can barely breathe. Just as she is about to flee the scene, I suddenly reach out and grab her hand. If he likes someone else, why grab her hand? Before Seraphina can even pull back, I slide the ring directly onto her ring finger. Seraphina completely freezes, staring blankly at the gleaming band, now sitting on her finger. Her brain suffers a total system crash. Wasn't he going to give this to the girl he actually liked? Why give it to her? I ask if she likes it, remembering how she tragically died over a wedding ring in our past life. Do I like it? Seraphina blurted out. She quickly catches herself, shaking her head wildly. No, wait. I absolutely cannot accept something like this. She tries to slip it off, but I step forward and catch her hand again, telling her this is meant for a girl anyway. If you don't take it, who do I give it to? My sister? Too weird. My mom? Plus my dad would get super jealous, but she keeps protesting that she still can't take a ring. Well, I had no choice. Look, out of all the free items, this ring has the biggest price tag. Since it is free, we should grab the costliest option. Seraphina finally gets it. Oh, so it wasn't actually about the ring itself. He just chose it because it was pricey, while she was over here foolishly hoping he wanted to give her a ring. If you won't take it, I guess I will just toss it in the trash, I say, totally teasing her. You are so wasteful, she gasps. You win a massive prize and just throw it away? Yeah, I am pretty reckless. So in the future, I need to find a partner who can keep me in line, I say, staring at her with pure affection. Look at how close they are now. She can literally peer into my eyes and see her own blushing reflection. This instantly triggers another wave of blushing, sending her heart racing wildly. I start debating internally if I should just confess to her right now. This is the perfect setup, but we only met yesterday. What if a sudden confession scares her off? I should probably wait a bit. The Qixi festival is coming up soon. That is Chinese Valentine's Day. I will confess to her then. I need to plan this out meticulously, giving her a gorgeous romantic confession she will remember for the rest of her life. We walk side by side toward the campus gates. I insist on walking Seraphina right to the entrance of the Fine Arts building. You need to hurry up and get to class, or you will be super late, Seraphina says, tightly clutching the ring. Aren't you forgetting something? I ask, staring straight at her pretty lips. Seraphina looks up and catches exactly where I am staring. Only then does she finally remember the little bet we made. The loser had to give a kiss. Sure, she had kissed me before, but those were all sneaky cheek kisses while I slept. Doing it out in the open like this is different. This is way too embarrassing. Come on, hurry up. Class is literally starting, I tease, leaning my face right up to her mouth while her heart beats at absolute triple speed. Seeing her freeze up like this, I lean in even closer to tease her. Are you trying to back out of our bet? I seriously never expected this. The majestic campus queen of Zhongchang University going back on her word. Right then, Seraphina stood on her tiptoes and squeezed her eyes shut tight. She planted a soft kiss right on the corner of my mouth. Then, covering her flushed face, she ran away. I stood there frozen, touching my mouth. There was simply no way I could stop my lips from curving up into a massive grin. I only told her to kiss me. Anywhere was fine, but I honestly did not expect her to aim right there. She definitely has a huge crush. At this rate, the Kiki Festival confession is basically a done deal. The class bell chimed, and I was feeling absolutely on top of the world. I took my sweet time walking to class, happily humming a little tune along the way. But get this right, at that exact moment, Caldwell was glaring at me from behind a tree, eyes bulging with rage. He saw the entire thing, watching the girl of his dreams actually take the initiative to kiss another guy. Caldwell wanted to slam me into the dirt and use my face as a mop. He swore right then he would never let me get away with this. Once school let out, I clung to Seraphina like a needy koala, insisting we walk back home together. Our long shadows stretched and tangled together under the golden setting sun. The vibe was honestly perfect. Seraphina stared at me. My behavior now was a complete 180-degree flip from her past life. Did the heavens watch her tragic past life and decide she suffered too much? Maybe they arranged this respawn just to let me make things right after everything. But if I genuinely liked her now, should she actually accept it? Pure chaos. Her feelings were extremely complicated right now. Part of her could not stop her heart from fluttering for me. But she was still deeply traumatized by how I treated her before, and she dreaded history repeating itself. Where is the ring I gave you today? My sudden question completely broke her train of thought. I had noticed quite a while ago that her hand was totally bare, wondering if she secretly hated the design. Too clumsy, so I took it off. Inconvenient? How is it inconvenient? Or do you just find the design ugly? No, it is actually quite pretty. I really love it. Just wear it then. I gave Seraphina that ring for a very specific reason. I wanted to claim my territory and make it obvious that this girl was mine. But then, she pulled the ring out from her collar, saying she wears it on her neck. Rings are not meant to hang around your neck. Doing that is a total waste. Let me put it on you properly. I reached right toward Seraphina's neck, gently trying to unclasp the chain for her. Oh my God, what are you doing? Seraphina's face blushed incredibly red. I was pretty tall with a broad frame, looping my arms around her like this. She felt completely enveloped, almost lost inside my warm embrace. The physical closeness had her heart racing like a panicked deer. Don't move, what if I accidentally scratch you? My tone was dominant, yet gentle. Hearing those words, Seraphina practically melted into a complete puddle. She obediently froze up, letting me fumble around her neck. I looked down at this incredibly sweet, docile side of her. Her face was buried right against my chest, which only triggered another intense round of blushing and wild heartbeats. End this now. Otherwise, my actual act is going to get totally exposed. Is it not unhooked yet? It is caught on your clothes. Just hold still. I was lying through my teeth with a completely straight face. Honestly, I unclasped it minutes ago. I just wanted to keep her close and let this intense chemistry simmer smooth. Right? Is it still not done? Seraphina anxiously pursed her lips. If I did not finish soon, she would turn as red as the sunset clouds. Almost done, just lean in closer. I cannot see. You have to get closer. She whispered that we were already incredibly close, but still complied. She took a deep breath, taking half a step closer. Now, there was barely 1 centimeter left before we were completely glued together. But before she could even adjust to this dangerously close distance, I suddenly moved, pulling her flush against my chest. Instantly, the wild sound of a beating heart echoed in our ears. I could not even tell if it was mine or hers. My own chest was racing as I took in the sweet medicinal fragrance radiating from her. Honestly, if I did not make a move right now, I would not even deserve to be called a man. My chest heaved as I took a deep breath, mentally prepping myself. I leaned down, secretly planting a soft kiss right on her flushed pink earlobe. Immediately, I felt Seraphina stiffen up in my arms. I freeze up completely like a statue, feeling her totally innocent, green reaction. She was ridiculously cute, but I knew when to step back. Reluctantly, I released Seraphina. All right, it is undone now. Seraphina just stared at me in a complete daze. It took a solid 2.5 minutes for her brain to reboot. Right after that, her pupils blew wide open. You just kissed me. Seraphina stammered out, biting her lower lip while reflexively covering her ear. That spot was still tingling like an electric current shot through. I probably just accidentally brushed against it. I put on a totally righteous gentleman face and spouted pure BS. Was I way too impulsive just now? Did I just scare Seraphina off? Inside, my mental age was basically that of an old uncle. But the Seraphina of this timeline was just a college freshman who barely turned 18. Impulse truly is the devil. I completely misjudged the whole situation. Seraphina turned her face away. What on earth was going through her head just now? Look, I was purely trying to help her untangle that necklace. In our past life, we lived together day in and day out. And I never crossed the line or tried anything funny with her. So in this life, how could I possibly be trying to take advantage of her? Let me help you put the ring on. But as I grabbed Seraphina's hand, she snatched it right back. No need. I do not want to wear it on my finger, she said, slipping the ring back onto her necklace. Seeing this, I knew I was way too eager and impulsive. Great, now I went and made her mad. I had to coax her, but check this, a totally hostile glare suddenly beamed straight at me like a laser. I whipped my head around and scanned the perimeter, but could not spot anyone suspicious. Kaelen, what is wrong? Seraphina asked, confused, as I mentioned feeling someone staring at us. Seraphina stared at my ridiculously off-the-charts handsome face and quietly muttered under her breath, looking that good? Isn't it normal for people to stare at you? What did you say? Nothing. Seraphina panicked inside. Her voice was tiny. How could he hear that? Are his ears built with dog DNA or something? No way. I definitely heard you muttering something. You were not secretly talking trash about me right there, were you? No, I really was not. Then swear on it. Swear my foot. Childish as it was, our vibe felt pretty sweet and harmonious. Not far off, Caldwell was absolutely fuming with rage. His eyes were practically popping out of his sockets. Damn that scumbag Kaelen for daring to mess with his goddess. What pissed Caldwell off even more was seeing that delicate, shy, blushing look on Seraphina's face. He had never once seen her look like that before. Even though they grew up together, Seraphina's attitude toward him was always ice cold and totally dismissive. It was night and day compared to how she treated Kaelen. Boss, everything is set up to move now. Barnaby reminded him from the side, and Caldwell snapped, move fast. I am making her drop that scumbag for good. Caldwell gritted his back teeth so hard they nearly turned to dust. Just as Seraphina and I walked out of a pharmacy, look at this, two girls came pouncing straight toward me from both sides. Oh, Kaelen Kins. You are so naughty, it has been 2.5 days, why haven't you come looking for me? One girl in a crop top whined in a sickeningly sweet voice while literally using her tiny fists to playfully pound my chest. Yeah, exactly. I missed you to death. The other girl in mini hot pants pouted her lips dramatically. She made a face, demanding a kiss, while Caldwell, hiding in the shadows, flashed a total villain smirk. Caldwell chuckled, eager to see me explain this, but then someone spoke up saying they had the wrong guy, and it was not me. It was Seraphina, staring down both girls with an icy, crystal clear gaze. I looked at Seraphina in pure shock as she actually stepped right up to defend me. Just a second ago I was frantically racking my brain for an excuse, but Seraphina shut it down. Hey, who the hell are you? Are you Kaelen Kins' new side piece? The girl in the crop top snapped, throwing her hands on her hips. Right then, I felt it was absolutely necessary to clear everything up with Seraphina. Otherwise, if she thought I was a legit playboy, even jumping into a river of bleach would not wash me clean. Seraphina, I do not know them, she nodded calmly, replying, I believe you. She knew exactly what kind of person I was, so even if she did not get what was up with those two, she was completely clear on my character. When Seraphina said those words, my heart completely melted into a puddle. I knew she had a little crush on me, but this was next level. We are talking absolute, unconditional trust. Honestly, any guy with a beating heart would be touched beyond their limits. Seraphina, thank you so much. I gently grabbed her shoulders, locking my eyes onto her with deep emotion. There was no way she could handle me staring at her like that. Blushing, she quickly looked away and slapped my hands off her shoulders. Meanwhile, the two girls watching from the side just got absolutely blasted with second-hand romance. Safe to say, they were completely sick of us. Hey, who the hell do you think you are? They snapped, what gives you the right to hog Kalenkins? The girl in the crop top suddenly reached out and shoved Seraphina, sending her stumbling back. I instantly caught her, wrapping my arm around her waist. I asked if she was okay, and she just shook her head. This is where I completely snap. My eyes went freezing cold as I glared at them. You actually dare to touch my girl? Did you even ask for my permission? Hearing this, Seraphina gasped, her eyes widening in absolute shock. She could only stare blankly at my back. My silhouette against the evening sky looked like something from a movie, my sharp features fully shielding her. It gave her this massive sense of ultimate safety, making her heart go absolutely wild all over again. Apologize to her, I demanded, glaring at the crop top girl. She looked genuinely terrified of me, turned around, and bolted. The other girl in hot pants was also terrified I would come after her, so she quickly scrambled away, too. Stop right there, I growled. But she insisted we just let them go. She grabbed my arm, but the moment she did, she realized just how incredibly solid my arm actually felt now. Plus, when I pulled her into my arms earlier, we were pressed so tightly, she practically sank into me. She could genuinely feel my muscles, making her think back to those ab pics I sent. Could those actually be his? I noticed her eyes drifting down and instantly remembered the whole shirtless picture incident from before. Didn't you refuse to believe I had an 8-pack? Let me show you right now. I reached down, ready to pull up my shirt, which scared her so much she turned around and sprinted away. Why are you running? I yelled, watching her sprint down the street in total confusion. Then, looking down at my own body, I suddenly realized what I was doing. Yeah, I was literally acting like a total creep toward a young girl right now. Watching this whole thing from the shadows, Caldwell's face turned a furious shade of bruised purple. Damn it, that is absolutely despicable, Barnaby muttered. Caldwell, should we jump him? Save that for an absolute last resort, Caldwell growled. His lackey then asked what other plans they had. Here's where things get petty. Our class is playing his in basketball tomorrow, and I'll make sure he completely humiliates himself in front of Seraphina. But what if he doesn't play? Caldwell just let out a crooked, villainous smirk. His face showed absolute overconfidence. Doesn't play? That won't be up to him. Meanwhile, Seraphina sprinted all the way home, staring at her face in the mirror, red as an apple. Even though she technically respawned from her 30s, regardless of whether she was in her past life or this current one, she had never genuinely been in a real relationship. Thinking back on our sweet moments just now, her face blushed even redder. The red spread all the way down her neck. Her entire brain was completely hijacked by thoughts of me. Why was I acting like this? She just couldn't understand it. What a mess. This feeling made her both love and hate it at the same time. Suddenly, her phone buzzed with a message from me. What are you busy with? I want to hear your voice. Suddenly, her breathing turned slightly hot and heavy. She spent 2 seconds calming down, then started typing her reply. What is wrong with you? I feel like you've got something heavy on your mind. She wondered if she was just overthinking it, but my mood genuinely seemed a bit off. And actually, her guess was completely spot on. After getting home, while handing my little sister her birthday present, my memories flashed back to my past life, when she threw herself on my coffin, crying in absolute agony. That was the moment I realized just how much she cared about a brother who couldn't even remember her birthday. I felt so guilty. I messaged her back, it's nothing, just wanted to hear your voice. I missed her. I actually admitted it. Seraphina pressed her phone tightly against her chest. Her chest rose and fell with every frantic breath. On my end, I saw she was taking forever to reply. Figures. A bitter smile crept onto my face, because it is true what they say. Men really are trash. I was living proof. In my past life, Seraphina cared for me down to the absolute tiniest details, but I acted completely blind and ignored her. Regret hurts. Desperate to win her back, but unable to. Checking the time, it was already almost 11 p.m. It is so late, I should probably stop bothering her. Right as I went to put my phone down, a sudden notification chimed. Seraphina had sent a voice message. She asked what on earth was wrong with me, or if something annoying happened. Her voice sounded incredibly gentle and sweet. Hearing her, my internal weather instantly went from stormy to bright sunshine. My wife treats me the absolute best, I cheered happily, feeling an instant rush of adrenaline that completely revived me. Nothing annoying happened, I replied. I am just a little restless, and purely wanted to hear your voice. He just wanted to hear my voice. Why would Kaelen suddenly want to hear my voice? Seraphina restlessly picked at the rhinestones on her phone case, pulling them off one by one. Right now, her heart felt like it was being scratched by tiny kitten claws. Her chest felt just as itchy as her fingers that could not stop picking at those rhinestones. No way. She could not keep letting him control the rhythm like this. Her heart was racing so fast she felt close to passing out. To regain control, she completely changed the subject and quickly typed out a brand new message. She told me to wish my sister a happy birthday. I let out a sound of pure confusion. How did she know? I definitely had never mentioned it to her. Could it be that she was also someone who respawned? The moment that thought popped up, I instantly shot it down because the odds of even one person respawning were already lower than the Mariana Trench. A double respawn? No way. I had never once read about something like that in web novels, even if it existed. The probability had to be basically zero. Once I ruled that out, there was only one other explanation left. Wondering about this, I quickly sent a few voice messages back. I only mentioned her birthday was coming up, but never said it was today. How did you know? Hearing this, Seraphina reflexively opened her lips. Talk about a massive slip-up. She was getting completely dragged by my pace and panicked to change the subject. Who knew that, in a moment of panic, she would forget she was not supposed to know my sister's birthday yet? How on earth was she supposed to explain this? But before Seraphina could even formulate an excuse, I beat her to the punch. What if he actually figured out she respawned? What should she do now? She was completely panicking with nervous energy. But instead of that, my new message popped up, asking if she was secretly in love with me and investigating my life. Seraphina froze. Why was this literally nothing like what she had worried about? She replied that I was way too full of myself. But I just laughed. Is not having a crush on a handsome guy normal? Seraphina muttered that I was obviously a total narcissist. But honestly, I really am handsome, and in this life, I am even more handsome. When we hung out today, she kept secretly stealing glances. His skin is genuinely so good, almost catching up to mine. She messaged, asking if I had been using some new skincare products lately. Seeing her text, I grinned. This little girl obviously thinks I am handsome, but she absolutely refuses to admit it. Honestly, we all know how this goes. Girls always say the opposite of what they mean when they are secretly falling hard. I joked back, telling her to call me hubby, and then said I was going to sleep. Phone off. Fearing more teasing, Seraphina fired off 3 rapid messages and shut her phone down. She grumbled to herself, asking why on earth she would ever call him hubby. Snapping back to reality, she realized it was entirely Kaelen's fault for sending those weird messages that made her blush, made her heart race, and made her easily misunderstand everything. If it were not for him, her brand new phone case would not be ruined. No more chatting. Texting Kaelen is clearly bad for phone cases. Time to sleep. Throwing herself onto the bed slightly annoyed, she pulled up her blanket and habitually clamped it tight between her legs. Sleeping like this always gave her a massive sense of security. But lying there, Seraphina tossed and turned, completely unable to sleep. She kept wondering what would happen if I messaged her again. What if I could not sleep either? And was just lying there waiting for her reply. The more Seraphina analyzed the situation, the more her brain felt like a tangled mess of yarn. And trying to unravel it only made things worse. But whatever. Right before her past life ended, she had made a firm promise to herself. She would cut all ties with me for good. If I kept texting, that was my own issue. Let fate handle the rest. She slammed a pillow over her face. Lights out. Time for bed. But 10 minutes later, she snatched her phone right back to open our WeChat chat window. No surprises there. I had sent her something new. 2 short voice notes. Both were exactly 1 second long. Intrigued, she clicked the first one. It was just a quiet, deep voice saying goodnight. Even though I was only an 18-year-old kid, my voice carried this insanely magnetic pull. Hearing it sent a crazy shiver straight down her spine. She had to take a full minute just to catch her breath and calm down. Get ready, because here comes the next one. She reached out and tapped that play button again. Baby. A sudden clatter, and the phone slipped right out of her hand onto the bedsheets. She froze there, completely stunned, before her brain finally rebooted. Then, her pupils dilated in absolute, utter shock. Did I really just call her baby? No way. That is totally impossible. I would never call her that. She had to be mishearing things. She grabbed her phone and played it again. Baby. Tap. Replay. Baby. Tap. Once more. Baby. It really was baby. She did not mishear. I actually called her baby. Seraphina threw the blanket right over her head. She had to muffle her squeals before she woke up the entire neighborhood. Needless to say, she barely slept a wink. Her mind was totally drowning in the echo of my voice. Baby, 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 repeating nonstop. Meanwhile, I was fast asleep, snoozing like an absolute rock. I was even dreaming about her calling me hubby. Hey, it was only a matter of time anyway. If I do not swallow my pride and chase her down, I will lose her. And my ridiculously handsome face and shredded body? Totally wasted. The next morning, right after class ended, Caldwell marched right up to talk trash. Kaelen, our classes are playing a basketball match in a few minutes. Get on the court so we can settle this once and for all. Loser backs off and stays away forever. What is she to you? Some kind of betting prize? I looked up at him, totally unfazed. My sharp features radiated this wild, cocky confidence. Caldwell tried using some cheap, desperate reverse psychology. That garbage does not work on me. Seraphina is a person, not some trophy for your bets. Who is making her a bet? Stop overreacting. I am just asking you a simple question. Do you actually have the guts to challenge me? With my newly respawned elite sports skills, why wouldn't I? Fine. Let's play. When you lose, you stay far away from Seraphina and stop bothering her for good. Caldwell burst into loud, mocking laughter. Kaelen, you just said that was making her a bet. What are you doing now? Well, I am different. I'm not using her as a bet. I'm just looking out for her peace of mind. I don't want a pesky fly constantly buzzing around her ears all day. You are dead. Caldwell was shaking with pure rage. Just you wait. He growled. We will see if you talk this big on the court. He waved his hand and stormed away toward the classrooms. Meanwhile, Seraphina was totally zoned out in class. And she was not just mindlessly daydreaming, either. Her brain kept looping our late-night conversation. How I said I missed her, and how I called her baby. The more she thought, the redder her face got. She wanted to stop, but her mind was spinning out of control. She felt possessed. That deep, highly magnetic voice of mine was just stuck on loop inside her head. Was she really this helpless against me? But wait, she had already sworn off liking me. Right as she got a massive headache, bam, the entire classroom suddenly erupted into chaotic noise. Girls out in the hallway were running past in excited groups. What is going on out there? Bria asked, completely confused. Didn't you hear? There is a massive basketball game starting between Computer Science and Business Class 5. Seraphina, isn't that where your childhood friend Caldwell plays? I heard his basketball skills are next level. Didn't he train at an elite camp? Seraphina just nodded. Yeah, his uncle is a coach. Let's go watch. Another girl squealed with pure, intense excitement. Come on, let's go. Kaelen from Business Class 6 is playing too. Half the school is going just for him. Why didn't I notice him before? He is seriously getting handsomer by the day. Seraphina blurted out in total shock. Honestly, he could easily rival Kaelen, our school's official campus heartthrob now. She actually watched this exact basketball game in her past life. Plus, last night, Caldwell texted her, practically begging her to come watch. She remembered it clearly. I definitely never played in this basketball game back then. Actually, ever since we respawned, it felt like so many things in this world were completely off. She kept tossing this question around, but nothing made sense. Was her current world really not her actual past life? Maybe this was some kind of parallel universe. She just couldn't figure it out. She couldn't understand it at all. Is Kaelen playing too? Bria immediately thought back to the infirmary, when I held onto Seraphina's hand and absolutely refused to let go. Anger flared in Bria. Handsome my foot. Seraphina. We are not going. Seraphina quickly nodded her head in agreement. She was thinking the exact same thing. Putting aside all the crazy things that happened over these past few days, from this moment on, she was staying totally lucid and rational. If she said she was not going, she meant it. From now on, she was cutting ties with me for good. If I ever tried to find her, she'd treat me like an absolute stranger and ignore me completely. She made this huge, serious resolution, but watch this, her eyes betrayed her, drifting straight toward the window anyway. Don't look. Seraphina yanked her head back, trying to distract herself with sketching. She pulled out her sketchbook and began scribbling. Just 2.5 minutes later, she had drawn a basketball. She kept staring at that basketball in her sketchbook until the drawing actually started to move in her mind. There I was, dribbling and getting ready to shoot. Suddenly, she pushed her chair back and stood up. Bria looked up, totally confused. Seraphina, what are you doing? Just going to the restroom. Next thing, she's standing right by the court. The game hadn't even started yet, and both teams were busy with their pregame warm-ups. With just one glance, she spotted me on the court in my red jersey. Handsome, glowing, and completely stealing the spotlight. Without a doubt, I was the absolute center of attention. Good looks, an incredible body, and that effortless sunny boy charm radiating from head to toe. Her heart started racing all over again. And then, as if we had telepathy, I stopped my warm-up and scanned the crowd of spectators. After sweeping the area once, my eyes locked directly onto her. She actually came to watch me play, so I absolutely could not lose. Just as I was about to raise my hand and wave to her, Caldwell excitedly trotted right over to her, completely blocking her view of me. Seraphina, you actually came to watch me play. He deliberately started showing off right in front of her, raising his arms to flex his muscles, while she gave them a quick glance. Definitely not as good as Kaelen's. Seraphina tilted her head, bypassing his frame, and saw me waving hello from across the court. So, she followed suit, raising her hand to give me a sweet little wave back to respond. Caldwell followed her gaze, turned his head, and saw us making intense eye contact right past him. He was so furious he almost coughed up blood. I mean, he was standing right smack in the middle of them. Could they stop treating him like thin air? Honestly, you have to feel a little bad for how frustrating this is. Tons of girls watching the game were totally swooning over me, whispering about how insanely handsome number 11 was. Seriously, he is so gorgeous. I wonder if he has a girlfriend. Who cares anyway? If he does, I'll just make her his ex-girlfriend. Hearing all these thirsty comments from the girls, Caldwell's mouth twitched in pure, irritated annoyance. Can good looks buy you dinner? If it were possible, he honestly wanted to rip my face off and staple it onto his own head. Seraphina looked left and right, pouting her lips. Whether it was her past life or this one, I was still a total girl magnet, especially right now. I was so handsome, it made people want to drag me home. Watching my young skin practically glow in the warm sunlight, Seraphina felt a tiny, petty surge of jealousy. This Kaelen was just too stingy. She had asked him for his skincare routine before, and he actually demanded she call him hubby first. She absolutely refused to do it. Caldwell saw her staring blankly at me, and the flames of pure jealousy shot straight to his brain. His knuckles cracked loudly as he clenched his fists, muttering that he was going to win this game, just watch and see. After saying that, Caldwell turned and shot an incredibly hostile glare at me, fully intending to smash my annoying face in with the ball. The whistle blew and the game finally kicked off. On the court, my flashy moves triggered absolute tsunamis of cheers from the crowd. This immediately sent Seraphina's mind spinning right back into her absolute favorite, classic romantic fantasies. Nearby, the other girls were watching so intensely, they were basically squealing out loud. But Caldwell? He acted like a cornered dog. Absolutely desperate. The guy literally waited until I jumped for a slam dunk, then grabbed and yanked my jersey. Talk about a dirty play. I crashed down hard, slamming onto the court while Caldwell just stood there, watching me curl up in pain. A nasty, satisfied smirk spread across his face. Serves you right, he thought. That's what you get for messing with me, Kaelen. But then, a sharp female voice sliced through the air behind him. Seeing the blood on my leg made Seraphina's mind go completely blank, so she threw all caution to the wind and bolted straight to my side. With eyes red from worry, she asked if I was okay, and I just gritted out that I was fine. Staring at the blood on my knee, her heart leapt into her throat as pure panic and worry washed over her face. He is injured this badly, and still claims he is fine. She offered to help me to the clinic, wrapping her arms tightly around my waist to support my entire body weight. Who knew getting hurt came with VIP perks? It was totally worth it. I secretly cheered inside. I couldn't let her catch on. Not a chance. Time to act extra dramatic. Making her feel extra bad for me was the goal. But right as I was scheming, Caldwell suddenly stepped in and blocked us. Caldwell demanded to know why she was being so nice to me, warning her not to let my pretty face trick her. He called me a rotten wolf in sheep's clothing, his voice full of anxious anger. If anyone is rotten here, it is you. Seraphina's chest heaved with fury as she glared and yelled that he went too far. You literally pulled Kaelen's jersey. If his leg is fine, then whatever. But if he is seriously injured, I will never forgive you. And honestly, watching her defend me like this was amazing. Honestly, how could I not laugh? I seriously did not expect this girl to have such a fiercely protective, absolutely adorable, and angry side to her. She was screaming at Caldwell like she was ready to jump forward and fight him to the death right then and there. The more I thought about it, absolute bliss. I felt so happy. She kept claiming she had no feelings for me, but she was treating me like family. Get out of the way, Seraphina snapped, completely boiling over. My leg was done for. My knee was literally still bleeding. Caldwell did not even apologize and had the nerve to call me rotten. I tried to calm her down, saying it was just a scratch. But she immediately snapped at me too, telling me to shut up because I was injured and should not be wasting my breath. She scolded me for wasting precious energy trying to defend that awful guy. She wondered why I was being so soft on him. In their past life, I had never treated her that nicely. Was Caldwell somehow more important to me? Just like that, Caldwell officially landed on her absolute hate list. Caldwell noticed the look she was giving him. It was not just raw anger, but weirdly, a hint of jealousy too. He got the anger part, but the jealousy made zero sense. I quickly agreed to shut up and listen to her. I purposefully leaned my head close, catching a breath of her sweet, light scent. It smelled absolutely amazing, and the more I breathed it in, the more hooked I got. She definitely noticed how close I was. My face was practically pressed right up against her cheek. She thought to herself that even though I was too weak to stand and had to lean on her, I was still trying to act tough. I was still treating her like an outsider, even after calling her baby last night. It was clear I had not fully accepted her yet, which annoyed her so much she unconsciously started walking faster. With the bloody wound on my knee still actively dripping, I suddenly missed a step, stumbled, and let out a low, muffled groan. She quickly apologized for walking too fast, but as she turned her head, her lips accidentally bumped right into mine. Her face instantly turned bright red, blushing as hard as a literally steaming, hot-boiled shrimp. I had been leaning in close the whole time just to catch her scent, but this was a major bonus. Talk about a happy accident. I honestly never expected this to happen. I touched my lips and quietly told her that nobody saw it, but she caught my hand movement out of the corner of her eye. This only made her want to dig a deep hole and bury herself alive. She knew he did that on purpose, and it was so infuriating. Honestly, if he were not already injured, she would have absolutely slammed him onto the dirt. Meanwhile, back in class, Bria was busy reviewing the key study topics Seraphina had highlighted for her earlier. What is taking so long? It has been 20 minutes. Did Seraphina fall in? Just as she wondered this, a fresh alert popped up on her phone. Now, Bria was an absolute sucker for juicy campus drama. If there was any drama on campus, she absolutely had to be the first to know. But once she opened the app, Bria was completely left speechless. The front page was plastered with a very cozy picture of Seraphina carrying me. Wait, did she not say he popple? Why popple? Why is she hanging around Kaelen, that pretty boy, again? Meanwhile, at the clinic, Seraphina was practically losing her mind. She hauled me inside and frantically dragged the doctor over. Doctor, hurry up and stop his bleeding. She panicked but then complained he was moving too fast. You are going to hurt him, she cried. The doctor looked up with a deeply baffled expression. He stared at her panicked face, totally bewildered. I tried to calm her down, saying it was just a tiny scratch. You are acting like I am about to take my very last breath or something. And get this, that single word instantly triggers her deepest trauma from our past life, when news of my tragic end completely shattered her entire world. Back then, her whole world had gone completely pitch black. She simply could not accept that I had left her behind like that. She had abandoned everything to rush to the hospital, only to see a cold white sheet pulled completely over my face. Right then, she lost all control and burst into the most agonizing, painful sobs. She refused to believe I was gone, dropping to her knees and begging the doctor to bring me back to life. She was even ready to trade her very own soul if it meant saving me. I stared closely at Seraphina, watching her face crumble with pure grief, wondering if I had somehow messed up by calling her name. But she was still completely lost, drowning deep inside the agonizing trauma of losing me in that previous lifetime. She did not hear me at all, so I frowned and gently reached out to hold her hand. When I asked her what was wrong, the physical touch finally snapped her back into the present moment. Seeing me alive and breathing instead of a cold, pale corpse, her built-up emotions completely broke through the dam. She lunged forward, throwing her arms around me. You giant jerk Kaelen, she cried. Who said you could talk about dying? She kept crying that I would never ever die, her massive tears soaking completely through my shirt in just a few seconds. I completely froze. What did she just say? Did she really say I would never ever die? Right then, a wild theory hit me. You guys, is it actually possible that she is a regressor who respawned too? As she wept uncontrollably in my chest, I got a massive wave of déjà vu from when I suddenly died of that sickness back then. My disembodied soul had watched with my own eyes as she clung to my cold, lifeless corpse, weeping until she was absolutely shattered. It was the exact same tragic picture playing out right before my eyes. The more I pieced it together, the more this crazy theory of mine started making perfect sense. But wait, that does not add up. If she really returned with all her memories, why would she forgive me so easily after everything? She had wanted to completely cut ties with me, promising that she would never fall in love with me if we restarted. That absolute despair on her face was still burned into my mind, fresh as yesterday. But if she did not reincarnate, why on earth would she say those things just now? Her extreme overreaction right now made zero sense, yet she was still crying her heart out against my chest. I let out a soft sigh, patting her back gently to comfort her like a sad child, but my soothing words only made her weep harder. It was as if she felt even more heartbroken and aggrieved, letting out even louder, painful cries. Outside, Bria was still walking up to the clinic when she suddenly heard those loud, heartbreaking sobs. That pretty boy Kaelen must have bullied her into tears. She kicked the door open, ready to unleash her absolute fury on me, only to freeze when she saw Seraphina hugging me tightly and crying. All her rage evaporated instantly, leaving her standing there completely dumbfounded and frozen in absolute shock. Seraphina finally heard the noise and realized they were not alone anymore. She scrambled back instantly, deeply embarrassed that she had lost total control of her emotions right there, knowing how weird it looked. To make matters worse, Bria had witnessed the entire embrace firsthand. Talk about a completely awkward situation. How was she supposed to explain this? Bria walked right up to Seraphina, staring in absolute, jaw-dropping confusion. She reached out, feeling her forehead. No fever. But Seraphina just wanted to crawl into a hole and disappear. Since that wasn't an option, sprinting away from the scene was the next best thing. With that thought, she spun around and instantly bolted. Bria chased her out, shouting for her to wait. But after that escape, every single text I sent her went completely ignored. Maybe she just hadn't calmed her racing heart yet. It wasn't until after dinner that she finally texted, telling me the doctor said my wound shouldn't touch water. Reading that message felt like welcome rain after a 10-year drought. She really still cares about me. I decided to tease her. Why text me just now? I already took a shower. No wonder my leg is hurting so much. That immediately threw her into a panic. She asked if I lacked basic common sense when I was hurt this badly. How could I shower? I told her that is exactly why I need a reminder, then quickly sent over a voice memo. Seraphina, are you willing to be that person? Playing that voice memo dealt a massive 100 million points of critical damage to her blushing ears. She replied she didn't understand, insisting she wasn't stupid. She was obviously dodging the question. And honestly, if a guy keeps pressing in a moment like this, he is a certified idiot. A girl dodging a direct answer usually means two things. Either she likes you but is just too shy to say it, or she isn't quite sure about her own feelings yet, leaving her unsure of how to reply. With that dead end, I smoothly pivoted. The next question was something I had been dying to ask her all day long. What did you actually mean by what you said in the clinic earlier? That text made her freeze up. He actually asked. What was she supposed to do? How should she reply? She was agonizing in silence. Meanwhile, I stared at my quiet screen, rubbing my chin as I carefully analyzed her reaction. Ever since earlier, I suspected she was a regressor like me. Even if a double regression sounds like some impossible sci-fi fantasy, why should I be the only one who got a second chance? It makes total sense if she did too. The universe doesn't revolve around me. Right as I thought that, her reply finally came through, telling me I was overthinking things. It meant nothing. Clutching her shirt, she nervously bit her lip. Just stay calm, she told herself. Don't panic and blow your cover. As long as she never admits the truth, who could possibly prove anything? Was I actually just overthinking this? I frowned, mentally retracing everything that had happened lately. On the very day I returned, she knew my name. I was suspicious back then, but I had no way to be completely sure. I had zero concrete evidence anyway. But whatever. Why stress? No matter what the truth is, she is still my Seraphina. Time travel doesn't change who she is. Besides, my mind was already made up. In this life, I'm going to protect her and fix all the painful regrets from our past. As long as you are okay, I texted. Seeing you cry like that broke my heart, so I was just worried and had to ask. Reading my text, you can practically hear her massive sigh of relief. She realized she was the one overthinking it all along. I asked simply because I cared, not because I was digging into some wild, unrealistic sci-fi theories. Is your leg okay? She texted. But thinking about me showering with that wound made her get a bit annoyed again. How could he be so careless with his own body? Even if I didn't care, wouldn't other people worry? Those other people definitely meant my parents. Yes, absolutely my parents. It had 0% connection to her, obviously. I lied, I didn't actually shower. Her angry reply came fast. Is teasing me really that fun for you? Right as she was about to throw her phone away and ignore me forever, I sent another text. I only like teasing you. Just like that. Her face turned beet red. She bit her lip, trying to hide a shy smile. Her heart did cartwheels, fluttering like crazy. She replied, I've noticed you have changed. You've become such a smooth talker, she said. I replied to clarify, I'm no player. These sweet words are meant just for you. So cheesy. She grabbed her pillow, burying her face as her heart raced completely out of control, thumping wildly. Thump, thump, thump. Right after, my next message popped up. Are you free this Saturday? I want to see a movie. Going alone is way too boring, so I wanted to ask you to come. He was actually asking her out. Seraphina gasped. If she actually went, would this be a real date? After today, Seraphina's feelings had completely shifted. Before this, she only thought about avoiding me, trying to forget me so history wouldn't repeat itself like in our brutal past life. But seeing me all beaten up and bleeding, hearing me talk about dying just broke her completely. Turns out she still loved me with every fiber of her being, a love carved right into her soul. She simply couldn't forget me. If Kaelen was truly willing to treat her well forever, Maybe she could summon the courage to love him again. But thoughts are easy. In her past life, this man had shattered her heart into a million pieces. You cannot just heal from that level of deep trauma by wishing it away. So she decided to let things happen naturally. Suddenly, my phone buzzed. "Where did you go? Are you asleep?" she asked. Seraphina snapped back to reality. Meanwhile, I slapped my forehead as I remembered promising Bria a major favor this coming Saturday. I was so incredibly obsessed with asking Seraphina out that it totally slipped my mind. See, I had promised my buddy Leo I'd hit up a singles mixer. So I quickly texted her that I was busy Saturday. "Sunday works," she replied. "Are you free?" I asked. "Yes," so I offered to pick her up. But she instantly shot me down. She insisted on going alone, absolutely needing to hide me from her 3 terrifying older brothers. Back in our past life, those 3 absolutely hated my guts, believing I was never worthy of her. They even jumped me several times in a completely brutal, totally unfair 3-on-1 beatdown. I used to get thrashed until my face was unrecognizable. Sure, that was another life, but those violent images were still freshly burned into her mind, so it was honestly best if they never crossed paths at all. "Why can't I just pick you up?" I texted. I had actually planned to borrow my family bike and ride over to get her, but she replied that her family might misunderstand our relationship if they saw us together. She was clearly trying to test the waters, testing to see what my true feelings were. Luckily, I'm not some clueless teenage kid who can't read the room. I knew exactly what she meant. I could have easily played along and claimed we were dating, but that would totally ruin my master plan. See, I was planning a massive surprise for Chi Chi Valentine's Day. I wanted to give her an absolutely unforgettable, legendary romantic confession. So until that day, I had to play it cool. "I'm not worried about gossip," I sent back. "I'll see you Sunday." Reading my reply, a wave of deep disappointment washed right over her face. Just moments ago, she was secretly hoping I'd boldly claim that we really were together. Too bad I didn't. "Seriously, don't come," she warned. "If my parents see you, it's fine. But if my brothers spot you, they'll literally beat you up." Reading that threat, I felt a sudden phantom ache across my entire body. Those guys only trashed me because they cared about her. I still insisted on picking her up, though. I told her to just text me and sneak out when they weren't looking. Sneaking around? Seraphina actually found the idea pretty exciting. Fast forward to Saturday night. Leo dragged me right into the noisy karaoke lounge. But oh man, you will not believe who walked in next. Seraphina herself, looking absolutely ready to kill someone. She kept shooting daggers at me, especially since I was trying to play the cool, distant guy. Just when she was finally ready to give me a real shot. Instead, I had sneaked off to a singles mixer, acting like some untouchable ice prince. She figured Kaelen must know girls love that cold, mysterious bad boy vibe. He was obviously putting on a show to pull them in. Right then, this girl named Chloe looked over at me and asked if I had a girlfriend. Hearing that, Seraphina slowly raised her head. She caught me staring right back at her, making her pulse skyrocket. "Hey, she's asking if you like someone," she thought. "Why are you staring at me? Everyone is going to totally get the wrong idea." When I said I did, my eyes stared straight at Seraphina. To her, this was a totally direct, unmistakable confession. After blushing like crazy with her heart hammering, Seraphina suddenly frowned. Wait, what if she was just overthinking this whole thing? If so, who was the real girl I actually liked? Who was she? Just the fleeting thought that my crush might be someone else made her chest tighten with sudden, crushing jealousy. Watching her adorable little reaction play out, I couldn't help but celebrate in secret. Since things had already gone this far, there was no point in hiding. I stood straight up, walked right around the table, and stopped next to Chloe. Chloe looked up at me in shock, secretly celebrating inside. Was this cool, handsome guy really choosing her? Her luck with guys was absolutely peaking today to get noticed by such a top-tier handsome man. She made up her mind. One word from me, and she would say yes in a heartbeat. But just as Chloe decided, I spoke up and said sorry. "Hey, beautiful, mind switching seats with me?" Hearing that, Chloe's brain completely short-circuited. Total system error. Silence fell. It was not just Chloe either. Every single person in the room was staring right at me. She just stared. "So?" I repeated myself. Chloe could only nod and mumble in an absolute daze. As she stood up, she watched me slide into the seat right next to Seraphina. Seraphina just stared blankly, utterly stunned. I asked why she did not tell me she was coming to a singles mixer. She wanted to ask me the same thing. "So why did you stay quiet?" Seraphina demanded. I told her not to misunderstand. I only came to fill an empty spot. If she did not believe me, she could ask Fatty Leo. He was the one who begged me to come help them fill a spot. I turned and glared right at Leo. "What are you standing there like an idiot for? Explain things," I demanded. Leo jumped in, begging the campus queen not to misunderstand. My bro flat out refused to come. I literally had to threaten to jump off a building to drag him here. As he said this, Leo realized he was meddling in things that were none of his business. He originally brought me here because he did not want me wasting my life pinning after one girl, namely Seraphina. Kaelen, my bro, is completely disloyal. I am definitely making him buy me a massive meal for this stunt. Seraphina looked at Leo and realized he was not lying at all. But here is the wild twist about her. In her past life, the moment she saw me in college, she immediately recognized me as the boy from next door who saved her from drowning when we were kids. Since then, she had been secretly watching me from the shadows, gathering info on me. So she obviously knew whether I was single. What about you? I asked, turning the question back on her. Seraphina explained that Bria begged her to come. She was supposed to attend, but with finals coming up, she had to lock herself in and study. She forced me to go. But as soon as Seraphina finished explaining herself, she saw me grinning right at her. She froze. Why was she explaining herself so desperately? She had just completely given her feelings away. I see, I murmured, leaning my face closer to her as I nodded. My grin made her so incredibly shy, she wanted to run away. Honestly, anyone who was not blind could easily see what was happening. We were totally a couple. Hey, do you want something to drink? I asked her. I handed her a glass of juice. Thanks, she murmured politely. I laughed and asked why she was being so formal with me. Taking care of you is just what I do, I told her, like it was the most natural thing ever. You really do not act like an outsider, do you? Seraphina quietly muttered to herself. I intentionally leaned close to her ear, whispering in a low voice meant only for the two of us to hear. Am I really an outsider? I teased. She whispered back that I definitely was, both in her past life and this one. Not for long, I whispered. Seraphina could not hear me clearly, so she asked me what I had just said. Just drink your juice. I quickly changed the subject, but Seraphina stared at me with pure suspicion. She did not hear me clearly, but she knew for sure that was not what I had said. What is with the juice anyway? We are all adults here, so let us drink beer, Chloe said, wanting some alcohol. But drinking alone would make her look way too intense, so she poured a glass for Seraphina, too. She does not drink. I will take that, I said, grabbing her glass. The entire table immediately protested. Honestly, you can't blame them, they came here to find love, only to get force-fed this sweet PDA. Seriously, have some mercy, Chloe teased, instantly getting the rest of the room to join in on the fun. Flaunting your love like this is begging for bad karma. Enjoy it now, but you will be crying tomorrow. Her skin was not as thick as mine. Blushing hard, she snatched the glass right back from me. No need to drink for me. I can handle it, she said, directly picking up the glass for a massive gulp. Watching Seraphina gulp it down so confidently, I figured she had a pretty high tolerance. But within just 5 minutes, all that cheerful laughter around her began to blur into a chaotic, buzzing mess. Her vision faded. Her head spun violently, making her realize she was in deep, deep trouble. Barely clinging to half her consciousness, Seraphina knew she was drunk, but she would never admit something so embarrassing. She muttered that she was heading to the restroom and stood up, swaying unsteadily on her feet. One look. That's all it took to see something was seriously wrong with her. She claimed she was perfectly fine, desperately forcing her eyes wide open to pretend that absolutely nothing was wrong with her. I offered to accompany her, but she shot me down instantly. There was no way she wanted me witnessing her in this humiliating, drunken state. Her only thought was to rush to the bathroom and splash cold water on her face. But suddenly, her legs buckled, and she fell straight toward the hard floor. And check this out, right as she is about to faceplant on the floor, my hand quickly wrapped around her waist, catching her securely, which sent a jolt of panic through her heart. Fearing some creep was taking advantage of her, she looked up with a trembling, terrified gaze. Seeing my familiar face brought an instant sigh of relief. Thank goodness it was me. She quickly muttered that she was fine and asked to be put down. Being held like this felt incredibly intimate, but luckily, her heavily intoxicated state gave her a perfect cover. No one would notice her fierce blush. As I stared down at her, her cheeks were glowing with a soft, rosy flush. My throat tightened. Right then and there, the urge to lean down and kiss her was almost overwhelming. Still, I held back because she is the most precious girl in my life, and taking advantage of her would be incredibly disrespectful. I told her she looked terrible and offered to take her home, but she insisted she could manage alone. Fine, have it your way. But if some predator spots you vulnerable like this in the dead of night, screaming your lungs out won't save you. My warning hit home, sending a sudden wave of genuine fear washing over Seraphina. She quietly asked me to escort her back, but I laughed, telling her to stop being so formal and just lean on me. I told her to just order me around, leaving her completely baffled about what I actually meant by that. It was getting harder for her to read my intentions, leaving her wondering which of my words were genuine and which were just playful. She couldn't figure out the weight behind my words. Soon, I hailed a cab, and we slid into the dark back seat together. Heavily affected by the alcohol, she was already fighting a massive wave of drowsiness. The dim, quiet cab made it impossible to stay awake. Seeing her struggle, I reached over and gently placed my hand on her head. Firmly but gently, I pulled her head down onto my shoulder, causing her eyes to go wide with shock. The place where my palm touched her hair felt intensely hot, sending a wild jolt of electricity straight through her. At first, she wanted to push me away, but leaning against my shoulder felt so comforting. An overwhelming sense of safety washed over her, and she slowly closed her eyes to enjoy this brief, perfect peace. She secretly wished this moment could last forever, but good things never last, and the cab soon pulled up to her place. As she pushed the door open to step out, she noticed I was getting out right behind her. When she asked why, I pointed out that it is a 5-minute walk from the gate to her actual building. Since I brought her this far, I insisted on walking her all the way to her door, despite her protests. She argued they were already safe inside the gates, but before she could finish, our taxi sped off into the night. I simply shrugged my shoulders and told her the car was already gone. Realizing she had absolutely no other choice, Seraphina accepted her defeat and quietly let me tag along, but she had barely taken 2 steps before a shocking thought stopped her. She froze. Then she sharply whipped her head around to stare at me. How did I know it was exactly a 5-minute walk to her building? She had only mentioned the neighborhood name, nothing else. I mean, she never told me her building, so how did I know? She already suspected I was a fellow respawner like her, but looking at me now, she was practically convinced. I had no idea about her wild theories and simply worried she was starting to view me as some creepy stalker. To explain how I knew her building, I quickly claimed it was just a lucky guess, even though it sounded incredibly flimsy. But as long as I kept my mouth shut, she had no proof, and things played out exactly as I planned. Even though my excuse was pretty full of holes, Seraphina could not really tell what was wrong. Soon enough, the two of us finally made it downstairs. Just as Seraphina said goodbye and turned to head inside, I stepped forward right into her space. Actually, before I take off, there is just one last thing I want to tell you. What is it? She stammered, her tiny face instantly turning a bright shade of red. If you have something to say, just say it. Why get so close? Why is she so incredibly tense? It is not like I am about to confess my feelings right now. Good night. Hearing those simple words, Seraphina froze up. Just that? Or did you expect something else? I teased her on purpose, making the poor girl panic like crazy. You definitely thought I was about to kiss you, I laughed, as she backed away, desperately denying it. Now check this out. I step in closer, pinning her against the wall with absolutely nowhere left to run. Gulping hard, I took a massive breath, grabbed her shoulders with both hands, and leaned straight in. What is he doing? Is he actually about to kiss me? She could only stare back with completely wide eyes. There is absolutely no way he actually wants to kiss me, right? He is definitely just playing another cruel prank, she desperately told herself. But my face just kept getting closer and closer. He was literally going to kiss her. No way. Is this real? Is he actually kissing me? But right at that split second, a furious voice roared out, commanding me to get away from his sister. That loud shout instantly killed any romantic ideas in my head. I did not even have to look to recognize that rough tone. I knew it was Flynn, her scary third brother. Oh man, my literal worst nightmare. My future brother-in-law has arrived. Run, quick! Before she could even finish yelling, I was already sprinting away as fast as possible. By the time Flynn got ready to chase me down and looked ahead, I had already completely disappeared. Do punks nowadays really have insane athletic skills like that? Seraphina ran up, breathing heavily. Where did he go? Third brother. Grinding his teeth, Flynn muttered that the guy escaped, making Seraphina let out a quiet sigh of relief. Flynn told her that next time she is out this late, she needs to call him for a ride. If he is busy, her first or second brother can fetch her, because walking alone at night is just too dangerous. He was incredibly glad he decided to check on her, or that weird creep would have harassed her. Hearing his words, Seraphina's mind flashed right back to the alley. If Flynn had not shown up, would I have really kissed her? Watching her zone out like that, Flynn assumed she was simply paralyzed with fear from the encounter. He promised her that if the punk ever showed his face again, he would beat him into absolute pulp. Cracking his knuckles, Flynn watched her. Staring at his massive fists, Seraphina immediately remembered her past life where I was constantly dragged through the dirt and beaten like a rag doll. Naturally, she started getting pretty worried. She asked if he saw the guy's face clearly, but Flynn frowned, complaining that the streetlights were way too dark. He saw nothing. or he would have called the cops. She breathed a sigh of relief. But before Seraphina could even fully process her relief, Flynn spoke right up again, telling her she did not need to stress about it. Even without catching a glimpse of his face, he still had a pretty clear mental picture of the guy's build. Talk about a massive close call, but what on earth is she supposed to do now? Her mind was racing with absolute panic as she hurried back to her room, immediately dialing my number to ask if I made it home. I told her I was safe in a cab, boasting that her brothers could never catch a fast runner like me. Even if all three of them teamed up, I would outrun them. She snapped back, asking who was even worrying. Grabbing a stuffed toy, she squeezed and squished it aggressively to vent her tension, mentioning she had just talked to Flynn. He said he did not see your face at all. Hearing this, I laughed and shook my head. This Sundara girl acts incredibly tough but has the softest heart, obviously caring a lot even if she refuses to say it out loud. I honestly love her cute, stubborn behavior. I told her that was great, but she demanded to know what was so good about it. She warned me that Flynn remembered my physical outline, even if he did not catch my face. He claimed he would recognize me instantly next time, but I knew the guy was definitely just bluffing her. Spotting me just from a shadow? If he actually has that crazy superpower, the police should fire all their tracking dogs. Sorry, Kaelen. That was a pretty bad metaphor on my part. Seraphina rolled her eyes in sheer disbelief. Then she asked if she should just come clean and explain the truth to Flynn. Tell him it was all a misunderstanding? No way. Why would her hot-tempered third brother ever listen to reason? That guy always acts before he thinks. He pretty much looks at everyone like they deserve a beating. He almost got arrested several times for brawling. Seraphina was just completely, utterly shocked. How did I even know her third brother so incredibly well? Hearing her dead silence over the line, I realized I just made a pretty massive slip-up. How exactly did you know that? Seraphina bit her lip quite hard, her chest rising and falling with nervous tension. Naturally, I know. After all, in my very first past life, I was basically his main victim. Seraphina, there are some things I really do not want to lie to you about, but I still haven't figured out how to explain it because I'm terrified you'll get super mad and just ignore me forever. Hearing those words, Seraphina grew incredibly suspicious that I actually regressed from the future, and was only doing all this to somehow make things up to her. She did not want some pity-driven payback at all. She just wanted me to genuinely treat her well. No more guilt. Seraphina thought about it a bit more. Wait, that doesn't seem right either. Even if I really regressed, why would I feel so guilty? In our past life, we were basically just married on paper. We had pretty much zero actual interaction. Plus, she had never even once told me that she loved me. So, why would I feel any guilt? But if that was not it, then why would I say something so strange? And how did I know about her third brother and all those other secrets? It just makes no sense. Why are you so quiet? I started panic sweating. A girl's mind is a total mystery. I couldn't read her, and I was terrified she was overthinking things again. Seraphina, you were not mad, right? No, she was not mad. But her mind was just a complete, tangled mess. She desperately needed to think. Suddenly, a sharp knock shatters the very quiet night. Hey, my earphones broke. Let me borrow yours. It was her third brother outside. Shh, do not make a sound. Seraphina whispered quickly, slipped out of bed, and opened the door to find her brother Flynn staring suspiciously. He couldn't tell if he was imagining things, but his little sister was acting incredibly weird. He kept squinting suspiciously until his gaze locked onto her phone, demanding to know who she was calling so late. Seraphina's heart skipped a beat, stammering that she was just chatting with Bria. Clutching her pajama collar in pure panic, she tried to look normal while Flynn kept staring suspiciously at her phone. She handed over the earphones, nervously asking if he needed anything else, but Flynn just told her to go straight to bed. Once Flynn left, Seraphina exhaled deeply. I gently asked if she was really that scared. Easy for you to say, she hissed back, saying he would be trembling too if his family almost caught him. Trust me, if my family caught me talking to an incredibly gorgeous girl like you in the middle of the night, they would be absolutely thrilled. She grumbled that she was sleeping, but I quickly reminded her to rest up because tomorrow night is our movie date. Seraphina completely freezes up. Honestly, after everything she has been through today, her poor mind is just totally fried right now. She completely forgot about it. Besides, I told her I was not done. I said goodnight earlier downstairs, but she never even said it back. She sighed, asking if this daily routine ever got boring. I just laughed. I admitted I actually want her saying good morning too. Calling me a creep, she instantly hung up on me. Alone in her room, Seraphina covered her bright red, burning face. Just like that, it was 7 p.m. the next evening. I was pedaling my bicycle as fast as I could toward her house, but her sudden text message pleaded with me to stop. Her text warned that her parents and all 3 brothers were home. I replied that I would arrive in 2.5 minutes. Panicking at my speed, Seraphina crept to her bedroom door and cracked it open to sneak a look outside. Her second and third brothers were in their rooms, and her mom was washing dishes. With her dad and first brother in their room, trying to slip out now meant she would absolutely get caught. I texted her that I was waiting at the gate. Seraphina frowned, replying that everyone was in the living room. She complained they would grill her if she left. I suggested making up an excuse, but she refused to lie. I told her to just speak the truth, adding that I was already outside, waiting at the gate. Seraphina grew incredibly anxious. I texted that her neighborhood had tons of giant mosquitoes. Seraphina groaned as she read about their huge, long-legged bodies. Her phone kept buzzing constantly with my spam. Irritated, she texted back asking who even told me to come. I told you not to pick me up. After texting that, Seraphina quickly grabbed her bag and rushed toward the door. Flynn looked up at her, asking where she was going. Clutching her bag strapped tightly, Seraphina tried to act calm and said she had plans with a friend. Bria was stressed from studying, so they planned a movie. Flynn just told her to call him when they were done. He offered to pick her up and warned her to stay out of dark alleys. Seraphina promised her third brother she would stay safe. She was not a kid anymore, and totally understood the basic safety rules. After surviving that heavy interrogation, she finally escaped the house. The second she got downstairs, she immediately dialed Bria. Asking Bria for a quick favor, she begged her friend to tell her family they were hanging out if they called. Bria immediately sensed some juicy gossip. She promised to cover for her best friend, but there was a catch. She demanded to know who Seraphina was meeting. Staring down at her shoes, Seraphina stuttered out it was just him. When Bria guessed Kaelen, her silence basically gave it away. Bria asked if she was out of her mind, wondering what was so special about him besides his looks. He was always playing video games, even getting caught in class and probably gaming in his sleep. He had 0 outstanding talents, and his family background was as average as it gets. Bria claimed she was not just being materialistic, but family background still mattered. Her mom always said life is miserable without a solid financial foundation. Seraphina thanked her, but said she had her reasons. Bria gave up, warning her not to come crying when she was riding his cheap bicycle. Right on cue, Seraphina saw me pedaling over on my bicycle. What was I doing inside her neighborhood? Wasn't I afraid her family would spot me? I just smiled and told her not to worry. I bragged that I could outrun anyone, making her roll her eyes and call me incredibly full of myself. I told her it was not vanity. I was just naturally handsome. She shot me a totally speechless look. Telling her to just get on, she nodded and immediately looked toward the back of my bike. But there was no seat. When she asked, I admitted it was completely broken. I had accidentally wrecked it while taking it apart the night before. So where was she supposed to sit? I pointed right at the empty crossbar directly between my legs, telling her to sit there. She would be pressed completely against my chest. You can already feel the tension here. Staring at the tight space, her eyes accidentally wandered to some pretty awkward spots. Blushing like a cooked shrimp, she flatly refused, declaring she would just take a taxi instead. The whole setup felt way too intimate. The more she pictured it, the faster her heart started racing. I reminded her I rode all this way just for her, so she needed to get on. Seeing her stubborn face, I felt a quick flash of regret. Maybe I went a bit too far. I shouldn't have broken the seat, but Seraphina stood her ground, still demanding a cab. With that, she turned around and marched straight toward the main gate. Watching her walk away, a genius idea hit me. I looked up at her apartment window and yelled out for her to hurry up and get on. Her brother was coming out. Talk about instant panic, her body moved on pure instinct. She scrambled onto the pedal and hopped right onto the crossbar. I threw my arms around her and pedaled like crazy, escaping the neighborhood at lightning speed. Minutes flew by. Seraphina was still reeling from the shock, looking back at her neighborhood fading away in the distance. She asked if her brother saw us. I said no way, but she suspected I was tricking her. When she demanded to know the truth, I told her to stop acting. She asked if her brother actually came down. I claimed I just saw someone who looked like him, making her scoff. She scolded me playfully as we enjoyed our 30-minute ride to the theater. Despite the long ride, we couldn't stop talking the entire time. Once we parked, I grabbed her hand and led her inside. She couldn't stop staring down at our locked fingers. Telling her to wait, I headed off to buy some popcorn and sodas. Seraphina kept her head down, too shy to even look at me. Honestly, her face, her neck, and even her ears were burning pretty hot. Want some ice cream to cool down? I smiled at Seraphina. She pouted. Kaelen, you are just too bad. Seraphina let out a flustered pout, yanked her hand back, and fled to the restroom. Watching her run, I decided I should probably ease up on her a bit. I could not tease Seraphina so much that she literally bolted. That would definitely backfire on me. Safe inside the restroom, Seraphina stared into the mirror. Her face was so red, she looked almost heavily intoxicated. Why does Kaelen keep teasing her like this? Does he seriously just love seeing her blush that much? It took several minutes for Seraphina to finally calm her racing emotions. The second she stepped out, she found me waiting with a sweet ice cream cone. Why did you only buy one? I will not eat it, you have it. Seraphina assumed I just did not like sweets. But after taking a couple of bites, she noticed me staring intently at the ice cream in her hand. Do you want a bite? I originally did not want any, but seeing you eat makes me want some. Then I will go buy another one, she offered. But the movie is about to start, I said, so just hold still. I kept staring unblinkingly at the ice cream in her hand. A bit confused, Seraphina murmured that if I did not mind, I could take a bite. Before Seraphina could even finish her sentence, my hand shot out, grabbing hers and pulling it straight toward me. Guiding her hand while looking right into her eyes, I leaned down and took a bite. Seraphina's pupils dilated instantly. Thump! Her heart raced frantically. Seraphina seriously felt like it was about to leap right out of her chest. And to make matters worse, the spot I bit was exactly where she had just eaten from. As Seraphina stood frozen in absolute shock, a drop of melting ice cream dripped right onto her finger. What happened next made her want to evaporate on the spot. I leaned down and sucked the ice cream right off her finger. Just look at Seraphina now. She looks like she has been tossed into a hot steamer. So red, she is literally steaming. Around us, everyone was already heading straight into the screening room. Checking the time, I told her the movie was about to start, so we should head in. She just woodenly mumbled her agreement. Holding her ice cream, she followed right behind me, her two eyes staring blankly ahead. Half an hour later, the movie reached its climax. The main leads completely dropped all their shy, awkward acts. Since it was a typical college romance, the two characters frequently went to empty, secluded corners or pavilions to flirt, cuddle, and make out. Watching this made Seraphina blush furiously, especially when they were swapping spit. Her eyes widened massively. Do you really like watching this kind of stuff? I asked. I already watched this movie before coming here, so I have zero interest. I have just been staring at you the whole time. I took in every single one of her micro-expressions, noticing that the spicier the scene got, the more mesmerized Seraphina became. Who likes it? I totally hate watching this kind of stimulating stuff, she lied. Then let us leave. Seraphina shot me a glare of pure resentment, muttering that she just found the plot really good and full of twists. Super thrilling. Oh, I think so, too, I said, deliberately dragging out my words with a teasing tone. How could Seraphina not tell I was making fun of her? But before she could fire back a retort, the young couple in front of us suddenly started violently making out. In the past, she had only ever witnessed this kind of intimate stuff through a screen. 5. In real life, she had seen couples making out on the street before, too, but always from super far away, strictly adhering to the principle of see no evil. Every single time she encountered a scene like that, she would quickly look away. But now, the two people in front of us were so close, going at it so intensely. This made her blush to the absolute core. Right at that moment, my hand suddenly reached over and pressed against her hot forehead. So hot. Are you sick, Kaelen? She was not stupid, and she knew exactly how much I was teasing her again. She swatted my hand away and abruptly stood up. But in her panic, she accidentally tripped over her own feet, crashing straight down onto my lap. My face instantly contorted in agony, turning purple. She had smashed directly into the absolute worst possible target. Dead center. Perfect bullseye. Are you okay? I did not mean to. Seraphina began to panic. How could I be okay? This is a massive disaster. I am the sole heir to my family's lineage. If you break this, you will be history's greatest sinner, I teased. Annoyed, she huffed that I was still joking around. Just suffer then, you deserve it, she grumbled, sitting back down in her own seat and ignoring me. Her heart was a nervous wreck. Despite her worry, she stealthily sneaked a peek and saw me currently readjusting my pants. After that scene, Seraphina practically ran away, blushing. Once the movie ended, I hopped on my bike and escorted her right to the entrance of her neighborhood. Don't come inside, she warns. If my family spots you, things will get bad. All right, I say, I'll watch you walk in. She nods, turns, and heads inside. After taking a few steps, she glances back. I'm still there, holding my bicycle and watching her. She's already inside, she thinks. So why is he still standing there? She walks a bit further and looks back once more to see me watching from afar. Go back, she shouts out to me. I nod and agree, but I still don't move a single inch. A sudden wave of emotion hits Seraphina, leaving her wrapped in this sweet, overwhelming sense of happiness. Is this kind of happiness really meant for her? Or is it just some beautiful, fleeting dream that will soon completely vanish? Just as her heart starts racing with worry, I call out loudly to her, telling her to go to sleep early. Good night! My voice rings clearly in the air, anchoring her back to reality so she knows it's real. This is absolutely real life. Clutching her chest, she walks backward step by step, our eyes locked the entire time. It's only when I'm almost completely out of sight that she finally turns around to walk forward. Seraphina, why are you walking backward? It's her third brother. Startled, her heart practically leaps out of her chest. It's nothing, she stammers, just as Flynn's confused voice speaks right next to her. Oh no, does he actually recognize him? Flynn asks why that guy looks so familiar, making her heart stop. Did he spot him? Is her third brother really sharper than a police canine? Flynn keeps staring, asking if she thinks I look like his high school classmate, his old desk partner. Seraphina freezes before slowly turning to look at Flynn, who then mutters that maybe he is just mistaken. Seraphina lets out a massive sigh of relief. Kane was totally right about him. Her brother claiming he can recognize anyone from a silhouette was clearly just a total bluff to scare her. Around 11 p.m. that night, I finish showering and step out of the bathroom. If I don't check my phone for even 10 minutes, I feel like I'm missing something huge. So yeah, even when using the bathroom, I always make sure to carry my phone. Showering is my only exception. But wait, Seraphina actually messaged me. This is incredibly rare for her. I quickly open the chat. She sent a 1-second voice memo. I can't believe she actually texted me first. I am incredibly curious what she sent me, so I tap the voice message instantly. Hearing those words, my eyes practically pop out of my head in sheer disbelief. Once I recover from the shock, I quickly type out a reply. Are you really saying goodnight to me? She actually messaged me first without me having to prompt her. Seraphina, who sent the text 8 minutes and 20 seconds ago, has been pacing around unable to contain her excitement, just waiting. But now that I've replied, she gets even more nervous. Luckily, she already has an excuse ready. You yelled good night to me at the neighborhood gate earlier. I'm just returning the courtesy, so I absolutely had to reply to you. Yes, she was definitely just being extremely polite. People say men lie all the time, but when a woman lies to a guy, she totally nails it, especially if she's beautiful. Honestly, even if she's lying, I am a completely willing victim here. Look at this slick move, I tell her, since she's so polite. She needs to text me good morning too. Why? Because I send it to you every morning. She realizes too late that she just got completely outplayed by me. But since she's the one who brought it up, she has no choice but to obediently send both good morning and good night texts from now on. Go to sleep early, I tell her. Girls are much prettier when they get good rest. I check the time and see it's almost 11:30 p.m. Finals at Zhangchong University are coming up. Pressure is starting to build, and it is a shame our majors are different. Even our elective classes are completely different. Otherwise, I could easily just leak all the final exam questions to her. What do you mean by that? She texts back, pouting. Are you saying I'm not pretty right now? I reply instantly, assuring her she's gorgeous, but asking didn't she say early sleep makes people look better? In that case, she can sleep late, or even pull all-nighters. Seraphina is left completely speechless at first, but as she reads my words again, a massive, glowing smile lights up her face. Pulling all-nighters is fine? Does that mean her beauty stats are just that incredibly high in his eyes? Seraphina giggled out loud, her laughter growing louder by the second. Flynn, who lived in the room next door, finally walked over and knocked on her door. Flynn asks her what she is giggling like an idiot about. She claims she is just scrolling videos and saw a funny one. He tells her to sleep early. He reminds her they have to get up early, and she quickly agrees. Seraphina pouted, staring at my profile picture, and muttering that it was my fault she lied. But here is the crazy part, she actually starts talking directly to my photo. She whispers that in this life she still chooses Kaelen, hoping this time I will not disappoint her again. Right then, I sneezed massively. "Two means someone is cursing you. It must definitely be my future wifey thinking of me." Smiling, I turned on my desk lamp, grabbed a pen and paper, and began draft writing. But how should I start? I scratched my head. I had never written a love letter in either of my lives. My best friend is Leo. But considering Leo's shockingly low IQ, I quickly shook my head. Asking him for advice would be like asking a toddler. So, I decided to do it myself. I looked up templates, but they were way too cheesy. Midnight came and went, yet I still had no clue. The next morning, the moment Ara stepped out of her room, she saw my massive panda eyes. She asked if I slept at all. I replied, totally drained, at 2 a.m. Did you break your promise to mom and dad about staying up late playing video games? Are you not worried about completely wrecking your body? Let me tell you, a person is just like a burning candle. It usually burns for a long time, but fanning the flames next to it only accelerates the whole process. She told me to be careful not to die young. Hearing Ara's grand speech made me remember her sobbing hysterically in my past life. My sister actually had some creepy, prophetic foresight. Wasn't that exactly how I died before? From overexertion? But I wasn't gaming. I was writing a love letter. Ara's eyes were big and round. When she rolled them at my love letter claim, it was incredibly obvious. She asked if I really expected her to believe that, pointing out the window. The girl mocked that she would sooner believe the sun rose from the west. I insisted I wasn't lying, grabbing my colorful envelope and stationery to show her. I told her to see for herself, showing her the 2 draft versions I wrote. They were my final options. The first read, "My dearest Seraphina, you are like the moon, mirrored in the water, forever anchored in my heart. You are like the moon up in the sky, never drifting away with the waves, staying right by my side." Reading this, Ara couldn't take any more. She flipped the page and instantly regretted it. "You won't believe how cringe this next line is, miss you. Let me find a painter to draw you. I'll stick your picture on my cup to kiss you whenever I drink." She groaned, asking how much I actually hated this girl. She asked if I was trying to make her sick. I muttered, asking if it was really that bad. Maybe a bit cheesy, but surely not that bad. She retorted that it was a billion times worse, asking if I even watched dramas. I asked for her advice. She gasped, questioning if I was actually trying to chase a girl. Duh, if I don't chase girls, who else would I chase? Ara's eyes instantly lit up as she voiced her full support. I lost my words, my mouth twitching, and rewarded her with a solid flick on the forehead. Demanding to know what was going on in her head, I reminded her I needed actual advice for the letter. She rubbed her sore head, calling me barbaric and asking how a guy like me could ever get a girl. I told her with 100% certainty that I would bring home the absolute best sister-in-law in the entire world. Ara just curled her lip. She didn't believe me. I challenged her to another bet, warning her to think very carefully first. I reminded her of the giant bucket of iced tea. Hearing this, Ara immediately zipped her lips shut. Being a coward is fine, but losing a bet like last time and being forced to shave your head completely bald is embarrassing. Talk about embarrassing. Anyway, back to the topic. If you want to write a proper love letter, you need absolute sincerity. Girls these days aren't as easy to fool as they used to be. You can't just win them over with cheap sweet talk anymore. You really have to figure out how to show them your actual heart. Ara's little speech actually made a lot of sense. So, how do I make her see my true feelings? Just keep it simple. Ara picked up my drafted love letters from the table to show me. Forget about piling up fancy, flowery words. You just need to speak straight from the heart and show her exactly what you are willing to do for her. That was it. Ara's advice hit me like a total, mind-blowing revelation. Yeah, I lived for over 30 years in my past life, yet I still can't see things as clearly as a high schooler. Just being totally sincere works best. Right now, I know exactly what to write. I stood up, habitually reaching out to pinch Ara's cheek. "You are not even that old, but you have got life all figured out, huh?" Ouch! Why do you always pinch my face? Because your cheeks are so chubby, Ara. Fine, you are harming my body, but you are hurting my soul too. You are going way too far. This is me praising you. I am honestly proud to have a sister like you. Proud of what? I will fight you to the death. After messing around like that, I looked at Ara and couldn't help but praise her again. You really helped me out big time. That was a genuinely brilliant idea. Of course it is. This is just the wisdom I got from constantly reading romance novels. From now on, if you have any romance issues, just come ask me. Ara patted her chest proudly, looking a little cocky as she spoke. Ara is incredibly smart and quick-witted, always quirky and bursting with bright ideas. Because her legs were disabled, she was far more mature and sensible than other kids her age, which always made me wonder. Since Ara sees romance so clearly, how did she choose such an absolute scumbag, dragging her entire life straight to hell? Thinking about this, a wave of intense self-blame washed over me. Back then, I was solely focused on my career, leaving me with zero time to actually care about Ara's life. So, about why Ara actually chose that absolute scumbag, I honestly don't know. Come to think of it, Ara used to visit our house a lot, and had deep, long talks with Seraphina. Since they were so close, maybe Ara mentioned something, but the current Seraphina does not know yet. If she is a respawner just like me, I could totally ask her. But of course, that was just a fleeting thought. As I got completely lost in those heavy, complicated thoughts, Ara was staring right at me with wide eyes, wondering if she was just imagining things. She felt like I was acting incredibly mature and steady, not showing even a trace of how an 18-year-old should act. Suddenly, Ara remembered the conversation we had a few days ago, when she asked me where all that money came from. Her intuition told her there was a 99% chance I didn't win the lottery. Since I gave her some chaotic, half-baked answer about being a respawner, she wondered if I actually was one. Hey bro, you said before that you respawned. So, how old did you actually live to be? Or was that hypothetical scenario just you playing around out of sheer boredom? If I really respawned, at what age did I die? Don't tell me his soul is actually some white-bearded grandpa. I did not expect her to drop that question. My eyes went dark for a second. 32. Yeah, 32. Sudden illness. Died young. I said it with a deeply emotional tone. I must be bored out of my mind to listen to your garbage. Ara rolled her eyes so hard she practically saw her brain. Just a second ago, I was lecturing her about how staying up late completely ruins your body and makes you die incredibly young. And immediately after, I used that exact same warning to bluff her. Honestly, a guy like my brother will probably live to 100. No way he dies at 32. I watched Ara turn her wheelchair and leave. My gaze lingered on her as I let out a long, heavy sigh before heading back to my room to write the love letter. Now that I had a clear direction, the pen practically moved on its own. Seraphina, I am so sorry I was completely blind. I failed to see how good you were to me. I didn't realize you had always been silently guarding me, staying by my side and taking care of me. Deeply regretting everything, I blame myself so much. I know no amount of apologies can ever make up for the guilt I carry. Half an hour later, a massive 2,000-word letter was finished. With a heavy, incredibly nervous heart, I slid the love letter inside an envelope and locked it safely in my drawer. I am just waiting for Valentine's Day so I can hand it over. Man, I can't wait to see how she reacts to this. Right then, my phone started ringing. It was Leo. What is the big emergency, man? Lend me $500. Wait, you are borrowing money? Your family is rich. Of course. I mean in our past life. Right now, we are on the same level. Just hurry up and do me a solid. I just had dinner with Macy and I am short on cash. A single dinner cost $500? Just the two of you ate that much? Leo's family was doing okay, but they were definitely nothing special. Sure, he got more cash than most college kids, but his parents were still just ordinary working-class folks. Next to a filthy rich playboy like Caldwell, who cruised around in a Ferrari, Leo is miles behind. And get this, they ate over $1,000 worth. Leo was short $500. That much. I frowned. This Macy girl is seriously heartless. And honestly, don't you just hate when people squander money their parents worked so hard to earn? Despite my complaints, I still sent Leo the $500. He replied, bro, thanks a ton. When we get married, you're definitely going to be my best man, he promised. Got to go pay the bill now, best man. Don't worry. I thought to myself with me around, you and Macy will never have a wedding. Later in class, I sat through the exact same boring lectures from my past life. Painfully boring. Suddenly, Leo whispered, old Jang, you've been building some solid muscle. Have you been secretly hitting the gym? I just told him I increased my daily workout routine. Hey fatty, wanna train with me? Maybe a morning jog? Forget it, he replied. My parents worked way too hard to raise me to be this plump. It wasn't easy. If I lose weight, it'd basically be a massive disrespect to my folks. Look, I've heard some wild excuses for not losing weight. But linking a failed diet straight to filial piety? That's a whole new level. I honestly think you need to exercise. Carrying all that extra weight around, don't you get tired? Skinny people are the exhausted ones, always weighing themselves. If they gain even a tiny bit, they stress out over diet and exercise. They're always on high alert, unable to drop their guard. Otherwise, the weight just shoots right back up. But for us chubby guys, there are zero worries. We eat and drink whatever we want. Isn't that just great? Listening to him, it actually sounded strangely logical. Of course, it was totally twisted, backward logic. You can't just focus on your own comfort. When girls see you looking like this, they won't even give you a second glance. Everyone's got their own preference. Radishes, cabbages, whatever. Macy absolutely adores my chubby type. A total dead end. I paused for a couple of seconds, frowning. Fatty, just hypothetically speaking, what if Macy doesn't actually like you, but only cares about your cash? No way, he shot back. You're that sure? That's because you don't know Macy. Meet us this weekend to chat. Then you'll finally realize she's the best girl in the world. Macy clearly had him wrapped completely around her finger. You and I both know we need a solid plan to wake him up. Just as school was wrapping up, I texted Seraphina, asking to walk home together. She replied that our houses weren't even in the same direction. I told her it was fine, I'd walk her home first and then head back. You seriously have too much free time, she complained. But deep down, her heart was melting with sweetness. I texted back, I'm not just wasting time. There are just too many bad guys out there lately, and you're so pretty. I'm honestly worried about you walking alone. Pretty is right. Lately, my phone had been blowing up with there were already 3 victims, and all of them were college students. I'm genuinely worried about you, so let me walk you home. In my past life, I remember this absolute monster killed 5 girls before the police finally caught him. Even though Seraphina wasn't one of the victims back then, I still couldn't shake this deep sense of dread. She texted that her 3rd brother was coming to pick her up. Damn that future brother-in-law, stealing my job. Oh well. I promised to wait at her gate bright and early tomorrow. But she replied my 2nd brother is riding his bike to drop me off. Another future brother-in-law. Fine. I'll walk you home tomorrow evening instead. Right after hitting send, I quickly added another text. Don't tell me you already have plans with your first brother too. No, not that. I figured the first brother-in-law had to be at least slightly better. Just then, Seraphina's reply popped up. My 3rd brother said he's the one picking me up tomorrow evening. That 3rd brother-in-law strikes again. Since tomorrow was a bust, I suggested the day after. But she had another update. Starting the day after tomorrow, her oldest brother had 2 whole days off. He was planning to spend both days exclusively picking her up and dropping her off. Turns out that first brother-in-law is the absolute worst. Seraphina stared at her silent phone, totally able to picture my absolutely furious, teeth-grinding face through the screen. She couldn't help it, giggled out loud, but that laugh immediately got her called out by the professor. Seraphina, is my lecture really that funny? She apologized, but he snapped back, I don't need your apology. Read this page out loud. Hearing the professor say this, Bria sucked in a sharp breath of cold air. The text was entirely in advanced English. Just glancing at a couple of sentences, she already spotted 5 words she had absolutely no clue about. How is she even supposed to read this? Seraphina is in deep trouble, but honestly, this entire thing feels so weird. She is usually laser-focused during lectures, so why did she randomly start giggling out of nowhere? While Bria sat there completely baffled, she noticed Seraphina's phone screen lighting up deep inside her desk drawer. I had sent her a crying emoji, so she figured it was all my fault. This guy Kaelen is really bad news. Bria had to make Seraphina realize that Kaelen was terrible for her future. But Seraphina just nodded and calmly agreed to read. At Jiangchong University, only upperclassmen usually take the college English test 6. She is only a freshman, but she is secretly a respawner. She easily passed that test ages ago. Plus, in her previous life, she had spent 2 whole years studying abroad. Her English was practically indistinguishable from a native speaker. Reading a simple 1-page article was nothing. It was pure child's play. Seraphina picked up the book and began reading with a flawless, native accent that flowed effortlessly without a single pause or stumble. Hearing her speak, both the professor and every single student in class were left absolutely stunned. A few students secretly filmed the moment, posting it straight to the university forum. Our school goddess definitely lives up to her reputation. She is not just breathtakingly beautiful, her grades are legendary. And that incredibly natural accent is just unreal. Seriously, guys, close your eyes and you'd swear a native speaker was talking. Naturally, I saw the viral thread myself. Seeing the clip of Seraphina speaking so perfectly filled me with an overwhelming wave of pride. That is my future wife right there. I guessed that during her previous life, she must have studied overseas because her language skills were insanely good. She is just a freshman, yet she is already performing at this crazy level. Normal people do not stand a chance against that talent. The post was absolutely blowing up online as students flooded the comments with endless praise. Slipping my phone away, I laughed. You clueless people can complain about our relationship all you want, but it changes nothing. It is just a real pity that my plan to walk Seraphina home after class got totally wrecked by my 3 brothers-in-law. Oh, right. The landlord at the Chushi complex is moving out of the building today. I need to head over and check it out. Conveniently, Seraphina's family home is right next door. Once we move into that building, we will be walking the exact same way to class every day. But right in the middle of my happy daydreams, a loud, angry voice cut through the air, screaming at someone for interfering. Get on your knees and beg for mercy right now, or I'm going to make you regret breathing. Hearing those exact words, I instantly knew some local thugs were picking a fight. Usually, most people would run the other way to avoid getting caught up in a dangerous mess like this. After all, I am just an ordinary guy. I do not possess the fearless, righteous spirit of a typical action hero. So, my initial instinct was to mind my own business. But the moment I turned to leave, a strangely familiar voice yelled back, spitting in defiance at the thief. He refused to bow to a common criminal, and that was when it hit me. That was Flynn's voice. I quickly followed the noise to a dark alleyway and poked my head in. Sure enough, there was my third brother-in-law. Flynn is cornered by 3 heavy-set thugs carrying metal pipes. And guys, this is where a dark memory suddenly flashes through my mind. Back when Flynn was out shopping, he had stopped a thief from snatching a pregnant woman's purse. He had yelled so loudly that the criminal panicked and ran. But now, that same thief was back for revenge. They cornered him, beat him half to death, and broke his leg so badly that he walked with a permanent limp forever after. It ruined his life. The thug barked that if he would not kneel, they would snap his leg. Get him! The 3 thugs raised their metal pipes, swinging them violently at Flynn, who was completely unarmed and defenseless. How could he survive an attack like that? Within seconds, several brutal, crushing blows connected with his body. This is bad. If I do not step in, his future is going to be ruined just like last time. He is family. I cannot sit here and do nothing. If anything happens to Flynn, it will completely break Seraphina's heart. Moving on pure instinct, I lunged forward like a wild beast, tackled one of the thugs to the concrete, and ripped the pipe from his grip. I stood directly in front of Flynn, holding the weapon tight, and ordered him to run. But Flynn refused to back down, yelling that he would not abandon a stranger who just saved his life. But if I bolt right now, it is 3 against 1. The guy who stepped in to help me is going to get absolutely pulverized. Sensing the danger, Flynn steps right up to stand shoulder to shoulder with me. I look over at his fiercely determined face. I already know he is incredibly stubborn. Even if I scream at him to run, he absolutely won't budge. Time for action. My gaze sweeps sharply across the 3 thieves, and with my current stats, taking on 2 of them is zero trouble. You take him, leave the rest to me. Bare-handed street fight, who is afraid of who? I have to wrap this fight up fast so I can back up the brave idiot who jumped in to save me. Turns out, Flynn was a notorious brawler back in high school. But I am even faster, instantly putting my targets down. He yells that he is coming to help, but when he turns, he sees me smash a heavy steel pipe right into a thug's leg. Done and dusted. You are pretty badass, he mutters. Flynn stares at my pale face, probably thinking I was just some fragile, weak pretty boy. He never expected me to fight like a beast. I tell him he needs a hospital, scanning the nasty bruises all over his face and body. He is pretty banged up, but he claims they are just scratches. He tells me he is totally used to this from his school days. He will just head home and throw some medicine on it. Then he pauses. He asks for my name and demands to repay me, even jokingly, suggesting I hand over my sister. I tell him there is no need for that. I just saw trouble and stepped in. It is as simple as that. Flynn stares at me with absolute, immense admiration. He declares we are officially best friends, and I finally introduce myself as Kaelen. He smiles, calling us sworn brothers from now on. If I ever need anything, I just have to say the word and he will absolutely back me up. Hearing Flynn say these deeply loyal, brotherly words, I instantly recall my past life, when this exact guy constantly threatened and beat me. The irony of this massive contrast feels incredibly weird. But right then, the beaten thief quietly crawls up from the ground and stealthily grabs his heavy steel pipe. Watch out! I roar at the top of my lungs as the thug charges. If that pipe connects, it will crack Flynn's skull wide open. Seeing him frozen, I throw my body forward and violently shove him out of the way. Crack! The steel pipe slams brutally right into the back of my shoulder blade. Numbness shoots straight from my shoulder to my brain. The agonizing pain makes my entire world go completely dark, as I almost black out right there. Talk about a turning point. Seeing me take that hit drives Flynn absolutely, insanely wild. He lunges forward like a total madman to fight the thief. Flynn pins him to the ground and absolutely wails on his face. He fires left hooks and right crosses, demanding bloody payback on my behalf. It takes me several minutes just to open my eyes. I wheeze out to stop, warning him he is going to kill the guy. Blood is spraying everywhere, completely covering the thief's face. Flynn finally backs off, frantically asking if I am okay. I shrug slightly and instantly hiss in pure pain. It is bad. He insists we head straight to the hospital. I tell him it is just a heavy bruise. Some healing ointment will do the trick. And I have some at my place. Let's go to your place then, Flynn says. He tells me it is no trouble at all after what I just did. He admits that without me, his skull would have been split. But in reality, he only would have ended up with a broken leg. If I had not jumped in, the thief would never have been pushed to the edge to aim a heavy steel pipe at Flynn's head. Realizing this, I break out in a cold sweat of sheer terror. If that steel pipe had actually crushed his skull, the blame would have been entirely on me. Even with my good intentions, the resulting outcome would have been absolutely catastrophic and permanent. Thank goodness it was just a close call. 10 minutes later, we arrive right outside my future home. We are finally back in the neighborhood, Flynn says as we reach the gate. I silently laugh, knowing that in this lifetime alone, I have already been here twice and nearly got caught by him both times. Flynn is just about to slide his key into the lock when the front door suddenly swings open from the inside. "Third bro, why are you so late?" his sister asks. She tells him she was worried sick that something terrible happened on the road. But right as Seraphina finishes speaking, her eyes finally land on me standing directly behind Flynn. Instantly, her eyes go wide with absolute shock as she demands to know what the hell is going on. Kaelen. She asks why I am here, and why I arrived with her third brother. She looks at him, demanding why he abandoned her. She repeats her angry questions, demanding to know what delayed him and kept him from picking her up. Just as Seraphina finished her sentence, she finally spotted me, standing directly behind her brother Flynn. Instantly, her eyes went wide with pure shock as she demanded to know what on earth Kaelen was doing at her house. She wondered why we came together, but Flynn quickly told her to let us in first. Flynn squeezed past his sister, dragging me along by my good arm, screaming for his parents to grab the first aid kit. He yelled so loudly the whole house started moving, leaving Seraphina standing there with her mind completely blank. She watched in utter disbelief as I gave her a quick wink before putting on a polite, slightly pained face. "Who is this?" she desperately asked her third brother. That is when her eldest brother Arthur walked out, adjusting his glasses and locking a sharp, calculating gaze right onto me. Flynn proudly patted his chest and announced that I was his absolute lifesaver and newly sworn brother, Kaelen. He explained that thugs attacked him in an alley, and if I hadn't jumped in to save him, his skull would be cracked. Flynn added that I took a massive hit from a steel pipe for him, and the moment those words hit Seraphina's brain, all her confusion vanished. Talk about instant panic and absolute heartbreak for her. Her voice shook as she asked about the pipe, her act of pretending we were strangers completely shattering. Rushing forward to grab my uninjured arm, she begged to see the wound. Flynn blinked, looking back and forth between his fiercely overprotective little sister and me, utterly confused about why she was so worked up. He asked if we knew each other, freezing her face completely red. Oh crap. Her cover was totally blown, so I quickly stepped in to save my future wife. I claimed we went to the same school, saying she was the famous campus queen. Flynn burst out laughing, completely blind to all our extremely obvious lies. He declared it pure fate, and as I nodded in agreement, I was secretly cheering my lungs out. "You guys, I just bypassed the absolute hardest boss fight ever. The scary third brother, who once beat me up, was now my sworn bro." Just then, Mrs. Vance ran out with the medical kit. She thanked me for saving Flynn, urgently telling me to take off my shirt so they could see the damage. I shyly offered to do it myself, but Flynn refused, telling me to stop acting like a stranger. Insisting we were brothers, he reached over and suddenly yanked my shirt right over my head. A sharp gasp echoed through the room when they saw the massive, dark purple bruise swelling ominously across my otherwise flawless muscular shoulder. Seraphina quickly covered her mouth with both hands. Her eyes filled with tears, and her heart felt like it was being squeezed by an invisible hand. In their past life, he died young, and now he was taking dangerous hits again. Why was he always so foolish? Why did he always play the hero? Flynn gritted his teeth with pure guilt, saying he owed me his life. Seraphina suddenly stepped forward, her voice ringing with an absolute, undeniable firmness. She grabbed the ointment from her mother, who was worried she would mess up. Cutting off her eldest brother, she calmly repeated that she would do it herself. Walking up behind me, her shaky breath lightly brushed against my bare skin. As her soft, cold fingers coated in oil touched my burning skin, I gasped, prompting her to softly ask if it hurt. Her voice was so quiet and tender with a clear tremble, but I smoothly lied, telling her it did not hurt. Honestly, with the famous campus queen treating me, even a fatal injury would heal in an instant. She softly scolded me to stop talking nonsense as tears welled up, while Flynn crossed his arms and praised my toughness. A real man. If Flynn actually knew I was using this chance to actively flirt with his precious little sister, he would probably grab that steel pipe and finish me off himself. They made me stay for dinner that night, and let me tell you, the treatment was absolutely imperial. Mr. Vance poured his finest aged wine, which I politely declined because of my painful injury. Mrs. Vance piled my bowl sky high with delicious meat, while the first and second brothers toasted me with juice. In the past, the brothers constantly praised that rich kid Caldwell, but today, Arthur adjusted his glasses and told me to let Sarah know if I ever needed anything at school. He added that I was way better than Caldwell, who only knew how to show off his family wealth. I locked eyes with Seraphina right across the table. She quickly looked down, a tiny, helpless smile playing on her lips. Soon, the entire vibe on campus completely shifted. Caldwell tried to trap me right after class, but Flynn stepped up. He came all this way delivering homemade soup from Mrs. Vance, putting himself right between us and yelling, "Listen here, rich boy." Flynn snarled, poking Caldwell hard in the chest. "Kaelen is my sworn brother. You mess with him, you mess with the entire Vance family. Got it?" Caldwell looked like he just swallowed a live toad. It was so beautiful, I almost cried. As the Chi-Chi Festival, the Chinese Valentine's Day, approached, the heavy tension between us grew somehow even thicker. Neither of us had mentioned the baby voice memo yet. We never spoke about the hospital incident. But every morning at exactly 7 a.m., a message lit up my screen. And every night at exactly 11 p.m., a good night text would follow. I was carefully preparing for this Chi-Chi festival. I booked a private rooftop garden restaurant, overlooking the sparkling nightlights of Jiangchong. I got a massive bouquet of 99 red roses. More importantly, my jacket pocket held the 2,000-word love letter I had deeply agonized over. When Seraphina finally arrived, my breath completely hitched. She was not in her usual casual college clothes. She wore a beautiful flowing white dress that perfectly hugged her waist, her hair styled in gorgeous, soft waves. But wait, she looked exactly like the day she visited my grave. A sharp pang of phantom pain stabbed my chest, but I quickly masked it, smiling warmly and saying, "You look beautiful tonight." Her cheeks flushed under the lights as she teased, "You don't look too bad yourself." The dinner was beautiful. With that amazing atmosphere, the soft violin music, and the gentle night breeze, neither of us could focus on food. The air felt charged with an undeniable, heavy electricity. We both knew exactly what tonight meant. After dessert, I took a deep breath. My palms were actually sweating. I slowly stood up, walked over to her side, and pulled out the letter. "Seraphina," I muttered, my voice low and serious. She looked up, her gorgeous eyes shimmering with the bright city lights. "I have never done this before. I am not good with words, and I know I have been pretty overwhelming lately." I looked deep into her eyes. "But I need you to know that everything I have done was because I am completely in love with you." Seraphina's breath completely caught. Her hands tightly gripped the napkin in her lap. "I wrote this for you," I said, handing her the letter. "Please read it." With shaking fingers, she opened the envelope. She unfolded the crisp paper. I watched her face intently, my heart hammering violently against my chest. As she began reading, her expression was incredibly soft, a shy blush coloring her sweet cheeks. But as her eyes scanned further down the page, her expression shifted completely. Her brow furrowed, and her breathing became chaotic and rapid. I was blind and completely oblivious. All this time, I failed to see how truly good you were to me. Never did I know you were silently guarding me, staying by my side, caring for me. I blame myself, and deeply regret everything. Her hands were shaking so violently that the paper rattled. She just stared at those specific words. Taking care of me, silently guarding me, oblivious. In this current life, she had done absolutely none of those things. In this timeline, they had barely known each other for a few weeks. She had never ironed his clothes or cooked him hangover soup. Just think about it, there was only one single reality. One timeline where she did those things. She slowly lifted her head. The look in her eyes was a crushing mixture of pure shock, disbelief, and a desperate, fragile hope. Tears instantly welled up, spilling over her long lashes and streaming down her beautiful cheeks. "Kaelen," she whispered, her voice completely breaking on a sob. "Why are you crying?" I asked. I panicked, stepping closer, desperately reaching out to wipe her tears. "Did I write something wrong? I am so sorry." "Kaelen," she interrupted, her voice suddenly gaining a desperate strength. She stood up, completely ignoring the chair falling backward behind her. She looked me dead in the eye, her gaze piercing straight through my 18-year-old body, looking directly into my soul. "The person you wrote this to," she choked out, stepping so close, her face was inches from my chest. "Is it the 18-year-old me? Or the 32-year-old me?" Boom! It felt like a bomb exploded inside my head. I froze solid, like a block of ice. The entire world around us completely vanished. The city lights, the violin music, the night breeze, everything ceased to exist. Only her question remained, the 32-year-old me. My jaw dropped, eyes wide. I just stared at the beautiful girl standing in front of me. This was the girl who wept over my grave. The one who begged the doctors to take her life instead of mine. The girl hit by a truck while scrambling for the ring I gave her. She remembered everything. She was way more than some 18-year-old crush. She was my wife. Seraphina, my voice cracked, completely stripped of all my old, arrogant pride. "Answer me," she cried out, her weak fists beating against my chest. "You idiot. You absolute jerk. Was it really you? Were you at the hospital? Did you know this whole time?" Then, the dam broke. All my buried guilt just flooded out. the agony of watching her suffer as a ghost, the massive relief of finding her. It all crashes over me, and man, it hits hard. Without saying a single word, I threw my arms around her, pulling her tight into my chest. I buried my face in her neck, breathing in that familiar, deeply missed scent of hers. "It is me," I whispered, my voice cracking as tears escaped. "It is me, my wife. I am back. I am so incredibly sorry I left you." Seraphina let out a heartbreaking wail, buried in her soul for 4 excruciating years. She hid her face against me, gripping my shirt until her knuckles turned white. "You promised," she sobbed, weakly hitting my back. "In our next life, you promised you would never let me suffer." I held her even tighter, trying to pull her into my very bones so we would never drift apart. "If we could just restart, I swore I would protect you. I will never let you cry a single tear of sadness again. I love you, Seraphina. From our past life, to this one, and every life after." Under the glowing night sky of the festival, 2 souls who crossed the boundaries of life and death finally found their way back to each other. The future lay wide open, filled with college days we never got to experience together. A family that finally accepted me, and a whole lifetime ahead to rewrite our story. But holding my shaking, sobbing wife right now, feeling her heartbeat matching mine, I knew one thing for absolute certain.